Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews podcast number 8. I'm Gary.
I'm Iain.
And joining us for the second time is Dave. Whoop whoop. And today on the podcast we're going to talk about what we've recently been watching.
Yep.
Film news, film trailers, and the theme of this podcast is going to be a conversation about Asian cinema.
Yes.
And of course the final part of the podcast will be answering your questions. So, I'm going to start with recent films that I've seen at the cinema.
Okay.
Starting with Spider-Man Homecoming.
Nice.
Now, I was really, really surprised at how good it actually was.
Well, it's because Marvel took over the reins again, didn't they?
Well, yeah, obviously Sony floundered after they rebooted Spider-Man after Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire had kind of departed. I remember Sam Raimi was open, and so was
Tobey Maguire.
They were open for Spider-Man 4, but Sony were like, after Venom and after Sam not really wanting to do what Sony said, Sony went and did their own thing and they fucked up.
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
They kind of loaned the character back to Marvel. And so now we've had Spider-Man Homecoming, which has, Captain America has a small cameo appearance in the film. Iron Man's, big prominent feature.
Tom Holland playing Peter Parker, is that his name? The main
Tom Holland,
guy?
Yeah. He is really good. And I will go as far as to say he's probably my favourite cinematic Spider-Man. He pulls it off very well.
He was in Civil War, wasn't he? He turned up in Civil War. And I like you, after Sam Raimi's trilogy and then going into fucking, the Amazing Spider-Man with that Peter Parker, I wanted a younger Parker come in.
Yeah.
It's if you're going to keep Peter Parker at a certain age, you need to keep him at that young age where he's just leaving high school, going into the bugle kind of thing. Well, don't let him grow up and be 30 and trying to get a fucking normal job. The way I see it is that now they've started him where he is now. They can keep the films going with this actor as long as he's, wants to stay on. And you can age him throughout these films now. Yeah, you can do that as long as Marvel have the reins, because if Sony get back hold of him after about 5 years of them not making a Spider-Man movie, they'll go, we better reboot the franchise before Marvel get their things back, so let's pick up an 8-year-old and he can be Peter Parker.
Well, wasn't like Tobey Maguire 40 years old trying to play a teenager in the original 3?
Oh, do you remember the dance from number 3 walking down the street?
So everyone has a problem with that, but it was
awful.
Yeah, but the thing is, he danced in one of the other Spider-Man films before that, and so it just kind of showed the change in the character. I really didn't ever have a big problem with that one small moment. I
don't have a problem with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies because they're Sam Raimi. I love those movies. I have a problem with Amazing Spider-Man 2 when you've got Jamie Foxx being a fucking idiot and falling into the electric eels.
Yeah.
And then when Marvel came along and said we're making Homecoming, slapping Michael Keaton in it as well, playing the Vulture, I'm like, I'm sold. Sony, just give it up. Give them back the fucking rights so they can actually keep this good franchise going.
See, I was worried when I saw the trailer because the first couple of trailers were Iron Man.
Yes.
With a bit of Spider-Man. It's like so much Tony Stark, and I was like,
well,
they've taken a lot of
Tony
it out.
Stark has quite a few. He has very good scenes in the film, and now they don't do the whole Uncle Ben. Like, his name is hardly even mentioned.
Yeah,
in
you
the
should
film.
know that fucking shit by now.
And so, and the famous line, with great power comes great responsibility, is not in the film at all. And so it's more about him looking up to Tony Stark as this new father figure who is now also absent. He's kind of picked him up to fight in this great big civil war, and then took him back to high school and went, we'll call you if we need you. and so Peter Parker's ringing up Tony Stark every other day, and Tony Stark's just like not even answering the calls. It's just like, sorry kid, we don't need you. Like, we'll call you when something comes up.
Man, you don't need friends like that.
That's the setup, and so that really works. It really builds character, having the Tony Stark sort of figure there. And what I didn't expect from this film was how funny it was. This is a great comedy
because it's Marvel, dude. They know how to. They've managed to successfully keep their films alive by inputting these little jokes that not only the adults are going to get, but the kids are going to laugh at it too, even if they don't fully understand it.
Yeah. So honestly, I highly rate it. I did. And I was about an hour and a half into the film. I was just like, "Wow!" I'm thinking this is almost a 9 out of 10.
Really?
Like, I mean, I know I don't score films, but
Yeah.
I sometimes score films. And
Yeah.
so in my head, I'm like, if I had to, I would probably give it a 9. But there was a plot twist that came in the film that really upset me, and it dropped it right down to a 7 out of 10 total for me. Because I'm still not over it yet, because it just felt like an utter contrivance for the screenwriters to just make this happen so that we could have these scenes happen to get to the end of the film. And I was like,
yeah, I've heard a lot of people are still shocked that, you know, he does the little goodbye horses dance from Silence of the Lambs midway through in the Spider-Man outfit.
You just spoiled it for me.
So my second outing to the theatre was to see War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
And I've said it a couple of times, but I am a huge fan of the Planet of the Apes films from the 70s.
Yeah.
Was the first one 68 or 60?
I think it's 68, 69, something like that. Charlton Heston.
Yeah. I've seen those films countless times, including the TV series.
Yeah.
I even was excited for the Tim Burton one, and yeah, we all know how that was.
Yeah, we know how that one ended.
Yeah. And so when this reboot sort of reimagining sort of sequel, it's all of those things, because it's not remaking any one of the Planet's films, but it's fitting right into the lore and not stepping on any toes. This new film was nearly perfect. I was stifling tears in the cinema. I was crying at the emotional impact the film had on me, and I was also crying at the sheer brilliance and creativity and, you know, the technical breakthrough of getting past the uncanny valley with looking at these CGI characters, and my brain is not even telling me you're looking at CGI. You're just not doing it anymore. From lighting to textures, right down to their eyes. And when you know it's working when you can look at a CGI character's eyes and feel everything.
Yeah, I think that comes from Andy Serkis. The success that Andy Serkis has managed to make with, you know, is it CGI, stop motion,
motion capture,
capturing characters. You know, he managed to do that with Gollum in the first 3 Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
People talk about the emotion that they saw
for
from
sure,
him and all of that. You know, the same thing with King Kong.
Yes,
when King Kong came out and you looked at that, and obviously he took a lot of what he learned as King Kong, taking that into Planet of the Apes. And I was very surprised when I first watched the first one. You know, where I'm like, well, how's this all going to work? You know, it's set present day. There's no time travel. There's no spaceships. There's nothing like that. And then you just realise that actually he's been experimented on. You know, the whole emotional thing in the first movie with his mum trying to protect him and then her getting killed. James Franco trying to protect Caesar building up. I was very surprised with the second movie. I didn't think it was going to be very good. Sequels sometimes aren't. Gary Oldman kept me pitched in the second movie, and then on top of that you had Caesar again, and they must have taken what they saw in the first one and went, we can just update this a little bit now, we can make it a little bit tighter, we can make it a little bit smoother. Here in the third one you got Woody Harrelson. You know, 10 years ago if you'd said Woody Harrelson to me in a movie, it would have probably spoiled it, but I think seeing him after Kingpin and then every other subsequent film that Woody Harrelson has been in has actually been really good and really funny as well.
I always enjoy Woody Harrelson films. I think he's he was an underrated actor who is now, I think, getting lots of roles that are...
Yeah.
I think he's in the new Han Solo prequel movie, though, so...
Yes.
I think he might be the only one to save that.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, I'm not a big Hunger Games fan.
Yeah,
but
I enjoyed his role.
He pulls off a really good character in Hunger Games.
I'm just trying to think, is there a bad film he's in? Can you think
Money Train with Wesley Snipes isn't brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
His cameo in fucking Austin Powers 3, I think it is, where he's just like, I've seen bigger.
I
didn't even remember that. So, War for the Planet of the Apes, if you're listening to this podcast and it's still in the cinema or in the theatre, you owe it to yourself to go and watch it in the theatre. Now, the title is very misgiving, I will say that. It's called War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
But this is more Schindler's List than war.
Okay.
Because they're the only war that happens. There's a skirmish at the beginning.
Yeah.
And there's a large scale skirmish in the last 10 minutes. In a 2 to 2.5 hour film, that's not a lot of action. But it's the characters, the story, the interactions. The film concludes perfectly. And I said this to you earlier, Ian, that this may be one of the most perfect trilogies.
Yes, you did say that.
Where the third film is as good, if not better, than the first one.
I'm still holding you on reserve for that because you asked me to watch Dead Rising Watchtower and I still haven't forgiven you. So I'm holding it back.
What?
I'm holding it back for Planet of the Apes.
Ian, sometimes your thinking baffles me.
When I've seen the third movie, then I will come back to you and say, are you still sure it's the perfect movie because of
perfect
this?
trilogy.
Perfect trilogy.
Now, they have said that the director's off to go and make the next Batman film.
Okay.
So
that's after Justice League. And after the Batman? Because
Batman
is
the
Batman.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Who was directing the Batman first?
Ben Affleck was going to be directing
that's
the Batman,
right. And
but
then he's
said he can't do acting and directing on a Batman.
And so they've got the new guy from Planet of the Apes to direct the Batman movie. Right,
and but they've also said that they've left the door open to tell more Planet of the Apes films, because this one, although it's getting very close to the point in time where Planet of the Apes would begin with the spaceship crashing down.
Yeah, but they haven't even establised the spaceship.
Yes, they did. In the first film, the spaceship takes off. You see it on the news report.
Oh, okay.
So
it must have been so minute that I didn't even...
Now, one of the small spoilers I will give in this film is that we get to see baby Cornelius. I was like, oh my God, I know where all this is going.
Yeah.
And so it gets more and more exciting knowing that it's getting to that point, but they've said they're not going to step on any toes. As soon as they've got to the point where that ship's crashing down, that's it. We know there's no more stories left to tell.
Yeah.
Because time paradox loop everything else.
Well, they might actually get rid of the whole time traveling thing.
Maybe. I wouldn't be too upset if they did change that, because the second film with the whole nuking and blowing up the planet was just that's what I'm just thinking right now. If the astronauts just come back to Earth, it's going to be shocking enough that there's no human race from the bird flu. Most of them have been killed off, or things happen in the third movie to certain characters that we can't obviously spoil. But then for these characters to then come down and then maybe establish what Charlton Heston already set in the original one with Cornelius and the apes trying to protect these humans while the rest of the apes are wanting to skin them or eat them. I don't know what apes do to humans. Peel them like bananas. Well, that's the thing, is that it's Caesar as a character. He's raised by humans, although he's been mistreated by humans. Mm-hmm. He is exploring his humanity in the three films.
Yes.
And obviously we see the apes wanting to rebel against the humans and are violent against the humans because of the way they've been treated.
Yes.
And when we get to Planet of the Apes, humans are reviled by the apes. The apes hate us.
Yes.
In the Planet of the Apes film trilogy we have yet to see... Well, we can understand from this last film why the apes would want to hate the humans.
Yeah.
But not to the extreme point that we
saw in the original movie.
So that's where there are still stories to tell to get to that point, including maybe an ape civil war where the apes fight each other about, how they're going to treat
but
slaves.
Let's just be careful, because like we said, we've already got the first 5 original movies.
Yeah.
And the first, I enjoy 1, 2, and 3 up to the time traveling stuff, and I kind of enjoy the ape slaves rebellion one, which is number 4. But then the whole battle and Austin Stoker and we're trying to be friends but we're not friends, and you sit there like, it doesn't matter if you're trying to be fucking friendly. It's got to end with most humans taken out and Charlton Heston turned up. So
yeah.
Try not to drag it out too much.
So, moving on to TV. Walking Dead Season 7, I finally finished it.
Yeah, I haven't even started it yet.
Yeah, I know, so I'm not going to go into too many spoilers, but wholly sort of satisfying.
Yeah?
I kind of felt like it opened fantastically with the deaths of 2 major characters.
Yeah.
And ended with a character who, I wanted to see more from, and subsequently said character, again, won't spoil it, has perished.
Right, yeah.
But, characters come and go in The Walking Dead. And, somebody said, that show is just the zombie soap opera. And to be honest, this last season did feel a little bit like it. But I tell you, whenever Negan is on screen, even if he's not going to kill anyone, you can't. He has, ever since that first episode of him appearing, whenever he's on screen, I just sink into my seat a little bit in case that bat swings through the TV and takes my head. You know, he is so damn good, and you know, I want to see his backstory. I want a Walking Dead prequel following him. I want to see this character. I really like the actor, and his screen presence is great.
I don't think they should do that, because I remember when the Governor came out, and the Governor was was kind of the same thing.
No, they're both completely different.
He was at the time, he was this big villain for Walking Dead, because he was in the comic book. He was completely different to what he was like in the comic book, and then after his story arc had ended, they started all these books flooding out, the rise of the Governor and things like that, and you found out that he wasn't actually the original Governor. He took the name from somebody else, and I personally don't like that, because what you see in the series, you like with Negan, you're sat there completely scared of him. Oh my god, he's going to start swinging heads around. You know what's going to happen if they tell the backstory. Before the apocalypse, he was just a normal guy taking his children to Little League practice.
Actually, he was. I know his backstory. He was a high school gym teacher. Who you can imagine was a total dick to his students.
No.
But
from the trailer that I've seen, the trailer from what I've seen with him in the school, he's actually quite friendly, and I know what will happen is that things will happen that will push him to what he is like now with Negan. With the Negan character, even though I haven't finished the season, he's already said he does these things to keep people in line, to keep them all alive.
Yeah.
So when you sit there going, oh my god, he's a complete bastard for killing off that character, he needed to make that statement to make sure that the 200 to 500 people he's got behind him
stay in line,
don't revolt, and the whole thing collapses around it.
Yeah.
You want everybody to be like Rick. But look what Rick's gone through.
Well, look, Rick is just as big a monster as Negan at this point.
That's what I mean. Rick has been just as big as a monster and had to go through nasty stuff. I look at Negan and I'm like, they're kind of the same person. They've gone two different paths.
Oh yeah, Yeah.
Did you watch this new season of Fear the Walking Dead?
I mentioned it to Ian the other day that I didn't bring it up because I'd only watched the first 2 episodes, and then I found out that they had actually aired one after the other as a one-er, and I couldn't watch any more because I needed to stop almost immediately into the second episode, just because I needed to reflect upon what had just happened. And I will talk about this one, but they killed off my favourite character in the show in the second episode.
And it was so annoying because, like, the last half of the season before, I liked the family unit, but they kept them apart.
Yes, and
they finally got them back together for a split second,
and then killed off the rest of the family. Now, I had all sorts of ideas watching that second season with the father and the son. I thought they might take the son off and do the whole rise of a supervillain in the zombie universe. Watch a normal kid sort of descend into by whatever means necessary to survive, and ultimately become a villain, become a sort of Negan type character, and I thought that would be interesting, but no, they killed the kid off.
Did they? Did they show that? Like,
there was the crash. There was the crash with the
car crash
with the 2 other guys, and as he's calling, they just shot him in the back of the head. Spoilers.
And so
I must have missed that because I thought it was like they were just telling the story, but I couldn't remember them actually showing it properly.
Yeah. I think he fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, it was told in what I saw online, they told it in flashbacks to the dad. Yeah. And they were telling him one
different
story,
versions of the story,
and you were watching something else.
That shows how much I was paying attention during that.
So, but I really... So the father figure at that point, he'd already lost his wife, and his wife's final words were, look after our son. And he says to her, I'll do whatever it takes to look after our son.
Yeah.
The son's now dead. He's the second husband to, our main character of the show now. And he then spends the rest of the time trying to get her family back together. And when he does, that family embraces and hugs. And he's like over there, like watching. And I was just like, you were a part of this family, but not anymore.
Yeah.
And in a way, your story arc is complete to the point where we're going to fucking kill you off. And I was just like, oh, God damn it. Like, I know his story was told, but, and now they've decided that the rest of the season is going to be focusing on the family dealing with that loss. And I'm like, do I want to? I don't know. I'm not compelled enough to keep going. I'm only curious now just to watch people get killed by zombies, because in Fear the Walking Dead, more people get killed by zombies than in The Walking Dead.
I don't know. I've finished this half of the season, because I think it's at the mid-season point.
Right.
It doesn't really focus on them getting over him, to be honest. I think it's kind of pushed to the background quite fast, and it's their new situation, which has actually been quite good. Like, I was a bit iffy with the last season. Like, I'm not sure if I'm enjoying this, if I want to keep watching it, but this season's actually it's actually quite good, and there's some actually cool ideas and some. I would,
now that the father figure's been killed off, my other favourite character is I've forgotten his name. He was the guy who was in the prison at the beginning, and then he was the one who owned the boat.
Yeah,
and then he ended up in the hotel, and then he pretended to be a doctor. He's basically the scam artist,
right? Okay,
who's still managing to keep going,
and he does keep going for this season. There's one, like
he lost his gay lover early on in the show.
There's a one scene in the series which doesn't really, not a plot point or anything, but he is just talking to on a radio, and he's talking to someone on a radio stage. Well, basically on a radio, who's actually in space,
right?
Wow. And the guy's like, well, I'm fucked up here.
Yeah, there's no way of getting back down.
And they're just having a casual conversation with each other.
If that is scripted properly, that is compelling watching.
It's done really well. I mean, it's just an odd, random part of an episode.
But it opens up the universe a bit more.
It makes you think about it. It's like, geez, what about the people out there?
There's nothing they can do. Yeah, they can just sit up there until they run out of rations or whatever. And
you could surf back in like Darkstar.
So,
oh God,
Game of Thrones season 7 is finally here.
Wait,
is
it?
It'll probably be episode 2 or 3, so we'll probably be halfway through the season by now.
Yeah.
But right now, we've only seen one episode, or rather, one episode is aired. I know Ian still hasn't watched any of it yet. And
although he's changed his mind now, he's heard Ed Sheeran's gonna.
It was such a good episode that I forgot that I was watching a TV series, because it felt like I was watching the first hour of a film, and that there were going to be 2 more hours to come, and this was all the suspense build up, and then I was like, oh shit, like there's nothing else after this, I gotta wait another week.
Yeah.
Totally forgot that I was watching a show. Just goes to show how brilliant the filmmaking is, the acting, the production values. It's everything, and and yet we want more.
Yeah, to the point where at the end where it's basically them arriving on the beach and slowly walking up some stairs up to the castle. It's like, hurry up, show me new stuff, let's carry on. It's like,
but there was a montage of shit in that episode that I could not believe. Samuel Tarly is in the where is he? He's in the Great Library, and they've been sent there by Jon Snow to find out how to defeat the White Walkers once and for all.
Yeah.
But the Meisters that are there are like, no, you don't have access to these books.
Meisters.
The Meisters.
Meister. I thought you said Meisters.
So the
gangs of Meister.
Look at in robes.
Yeah. Oh, you're just jumping on any reason to not watch, aren't you?
And so they're like, no, you need to become a fully trained Meister in order to have access to it. And there is like a minute-long montage of him emptying toilet bowls of brown, runny turds.
There was one with a big stool in it.
And then there's one with a great big stool in it, and it's just revolting. And it's almost musically edited to him scrubbing the brush, to him pouring out the shite, and intercut with him going, like just urging and retching.
It's just kind of like Requiem for a Dream, like the cool stylized fast
but
cuts.
Done
it was
with
kind of like
both emptying toilet pans.
Sorry, at the moment all I've got is Rocky's music playing in the background. If it's a montage, and him cleaning toilets.
But it was a great episode, and it's just one more. And speaking of not wanting any more, the last TV show that I've managed to catch this month, because I talked it up last month about how excited I am, The Mist TV series is one of the most wretched, awful shows I have seen since Under the Dome.
You could say it's a missed opportunity.
I was just about to get in there. I was going to say, do you think they missed the mark with it?
Well, they fucking missed the point of the original book, because this fucking mist, oh my god, it took 45 minutes for the mist to descend upon the town. The whole first episode, the mist is just there. It kills a dog and it lets the army man run away from it, and he runs all the way into town, and the mist doesn't catch up with the town until the very next night.
Right, okay.
So for the first hour, you follow this family and this girl, and the mum won't let her go to the party, but the dad lets her go to the party, so there's trouble with the marriage.
Yeah.
The girl goes to the party. She's told not to drink. She has a drink, and then we cut to the next morning, and she was raped. Oh. And now we have a whodunit. Was it the high school jock that she fancied? Was it the high school jock's best friend who was a complete asshole at the party? Was it her gay friend? Was it somebody we haven't met yet? Was it The Mist? It's just like, what am I watching? Is this The Mist? Or is this...
Dawson's Creek with The Mist.
Dawson's Creek with The Mist, it's... And now, there are some okay-ish actors in there that I recognise from other shows.
Yeah.
Like American Horror Story. But it completely misses the point of the book. We still have the arrowhead and a couple of soldiers, but none of the actual characters from the book. We have character types like in the book.
Yeah.
And the thing that pissed me off the most is that I've gone 5 episodes and not a single tentacle monster. Not one. The amount of time characters spend out in the mist with nothing out there. Nothing happening. And then when we do get to see what's in the mist, it's what's in their imagination. Because characters say the mist knows them. And it's showing them things from their history about them. And that's how it's trapping them in the mist. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Did they not even read the book? Did they even watch the film? Did they just go, we're just going to call it the mist, and we're going to have a mist come out of nowhere and stuff's going to happen?
Missed opportunities and shit like that.
It's so bad. But then in the second episode, there was a really cool death where a woman and her son's like, we're going outside. And then she comes running back up to the glass and her bottom jaw is missing and she's still screaming. And I was like, that's a pretty cool effect. Okay, I'll stick around just a little bit longer to see if things ramp up a little bit.
Yeah.
But we got to a point where it was like an episode of Lost where you're waiting to see what the mist is, the black mist.
Yeah.
And it's like, but this whole episode we're just going to have a flashback to before the mist, so you get to see who these characters are before the mist happened. I'm like, oh my god, it's going to pad it out with flashbacks.
It's going to drag it out. Drag it out to season 2 and then at least start to delve into some...
there was an actual entity in the mist that is stalking people and choosing its prey, and it materializes in front of some victims, touches their faces, drains the life force out of them, and then goes, the rest of you, I'm done, and it just blinks out and leaves them alone.
The end.
Yeah.
Wow.
There is a strange entity living in the mist.
That just
one.
So boring.
It is so boring. The special effects are crap. The acting is abysmal. The script writing is fucking awful. And it made me want to gouge my eyes out. I was infuriated with it.
Oh,
but there's only one episode left to go, and I'm going to watch it.
You're going to watch it just to
because
get to the end.
it was like Under the Dome, I finished the first season, and when they went, we're going to draw this out for a couple more years, I was like, oh, fuck off, don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get closure on this first season, and maybe there's a revelation that sort of keeps my interest, but
they're going to end the mist on a cliffhanger.
It almost hit me on the level of so bad it's good. But I just kind of want to watch it as like, an experiment gone wrong, and you just want to see how it ends.
Yeah.
You
should just watch the film. Just watch the film.
Or read the book again.
Yeah, read
Absolutely.
the book again, yeah.
So, I kind of dread asking, Ian, but what's going on in Hawaii 5-0?
Oh, man, Hawaii 5-0. I follow every season, and every season I know when it's coming to an end, because the story arc has started the first episode with a bad guy, then you've got loads of different investigations as they're trying to catch this bad guy, and then when they get to the end they have this big fucking shootout, big twists, the bad guy gets taken out, and it's ended on a cliffhanger, and you're waiting for the next season. This season I was really enjoying, and then stuff just started to happen, and there was no big bad guy. The last episode just ended, and I had to actually look up online to check to see if it had ended, and it had. Now I find out that Gracie Park, who plays Kono, and Daniel Day Kim, who plays Chin, have both left the show because they've been asked to take a 15% pay cut compared to Alex McLaughlin and Dano, Scott Caan, the two main actors. And I'm like, you what? You've gone 7 seasons talking about Ohana and how these guys are all family and Five-O's all there to look after each other, but you're going to pay these two more than these other two, and now they've walked off the show. So how are you going to start season 8 by explaining where 2 of your main characters have gone? It baffles the mind. Seriously, I am looking forward to season 8 just to see how the fuck they're going to keep this alive, because I don't think it is. I honestly believe if they keep this up and take out these 2 main characters, season 8 will be the end season, because you cannot keep the story attached to the main 2 guys, because Dano is very close to retiring, so he's ready to walk out. You know, you've got McGarrett, who's had so many story arcs. You should give the time to 2 other people, but if you're not actually taking the time to sort out their stories and not willing on paying them to turn up, you're just going to end it. But I can see you 2 are so enthralled with this.
You still talk.
Yeah, well, not all of us want to sit and watch fucking dragons burn fucking icy zombies. If I want to do that, I might as well just go read the book. And I'm glad I never sat down and watched the fucking Mist.
You know what? There's no
season 7 of 550 was better than the fucking Mist.
God. Is there even a book about Hawaii Five-O?
No, there's
Is
not.
there anything you've been watching that you'd like to talk about?
My God. Well, I'll start with a film I watched recently, which is the American Ghost in the Shell live-action movie.
Scarlett Johansson. Oh, I bet that was a whale of a fucking time.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah. The only thing that appeals to me about that film is just its visual style. I love the cinematography in the trailers. Really sung to me. I was like, that looks like a visual treat.
Well, when was the last
something
time
that
you
I could
watched
put
the
on
original?
mute and play music and just let that wash over.
But I think it works well in the trailer. I didn't actually think it looked that good in the film.
Wow.
Like you were saying, how well and how advanced Planet of the Apes has come.
Yeah.
This just looked like a step backwards. It actually didn't look right. A lot of the city scenes, it just looked fake. And
that was
even
an entire
Blade Runner
computer-generated world, whereas Planet of the Apes was actual sets and then put on top.
But I even thought Blade Runner all those years ago still made it look more real and lived in. And this film is nothing like
the manga movie.
It's like the producers were given the highlights of the animated film, like the iconic scenes, and they had to come up with their own film around these scenes, and it's just so dumbed down. They've put in these stupid conspiracy theories, and Scarlett Johansson's Major is the first of its kind, and
Do you think that's the thing, though? I mean, because we find this a lot, and this will come up in our section with the Asian cinema, is that the American film companies and producers go, oh yeah, this Asian movie did really, really well back in the day. Let's take it. And then somebody watches it and goes, I haven't got the time to actually think this all the way through, so I think we should dumb it down for audiences. And then that's what they've done. Because I saw the trailer for Ghost in the Shell and I was just like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch it because it reminded me too much of Aeon Flux.
Yeah.
It
does have that kind
of
weird, clean, sort of whiteness to it.
And it made me want to go back and watch the original manga movie. But I've been burned far too many times. I mean, when they tried to do the live action Fist of the North Star, that sucked. Let's not even get into fucking live action Street Fighter movies or fucking The Legend of Chun-Li. Whenever they try to do live action Japanese or Chinese animated movies with that. They just go, yeah, we're going to take out all of the good story background for the characters, and we're just going to make it so dumb.
Yeah, but the original animated film, it was more about tone and feeling that you got from watching this film. It's very sort of spacey. It's very thoughtful, and this was just like, no, we're going to stick some stupid situations in it. But I mean, the one saving grace is Beat Takeshi.
Yeah.
Who speaks Japanese throughout the entire film, even though no one else does. Nobody responds to him in Japanese. That was just bizarre. But he's an amazing actor, and he is actually perfectly cast, unlike anyone else in the film. And it has lots of basset hounds, which is awesome.
Would it have been better if instead of Scarlett Johansson they'd had a Japanese actress playing her?
No. I think
Still
if they wrote her properly and she, like, the Major's badass.
Yeah.
Like, it's not always worrying about where she came from and what her past was and who her parents were and all that nonsense. She just kicks fucking ass.
Yeah.
So I reckon if she was wrote properly, it probably still would have been the controversial whitewashing problem that it came to anyway. But
bad film.
Unlike another film I saw made on the Isle of the Isle of Man. Sorry,
Isle of Man, right?
Which is Mindhorn.
Mindhorn.
Yeah, it's basically.
I've not heard of this either.
Yeah, what?
It's Julian Barrett from The Mighty Boosh.
Oh wait, it's the fucking guy with the eye, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Yes, I've seen the trailer.
In the late 70s, 80s, he played like a cross between Bergerac and the $1 Million Man.
Yeah. This guy plays this detective from a 70s TV show, and then he gets called in again in the future when his acting career has waned. He's been called back by this killer to play Mindhorn again. So Julian Barrett comes back and has to put on all of the old gear, but he believes he is Mindhorn, and he's such a brilliant actor. But you look at the trailer.
It's quite a goofy concept, but we've seen it before, but that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Basically, his eye was altered so he can see the truth.
Right.
But it's like low budget. Like, it's got Steve Coogan in it and a few other smaller British actors.
Yeah.
But it's a fun afternoon watch.
Yeah.
But that's the main films I've watched. You were talking about Better Call Saul.
Oh my god, I'm missing it already. I can't believe how long I have to wait for more.
A superb, perfect season.
Thank you. Yes, I said the same thing last month on the podcast. There was some standout episodes of television in that last season.
It's just perfectly framed. The mise en scène, everything about it. It's just fucking craft.
It is.
The craft of it is amazing.
It was, that last season of Better Call Saul was so good that over the last sort of 2 months, I've gone and rewatched all 5 seasons of Breaking Bad. I just couldn't get enough, and that's why I said I want Better Call Saul to, go through the events of Breaking Bad and then carry on the other side.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I've just had to basically bide my time after it with 3 good shows. Twin Peaks has come back.
Yeah. Return to Twin Peaks.
And it is off its rocker.
Well, wasn't it always?
What? Yeah, but they've established it now. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna fuck you over.
Well, the first season, it was David Lynch was heavily involved, but it was very much an American soap opera, where you got these like bizarre, like quirky townspeople and their weird lives, but with a mysterious, weird, surreal sort of
and a murder mystery.
And the second season is awful.
I know.
It lost all the mystery, it lost all the surrealism, and it basically turned into the most fucking head-smacking, annoying, stupid soap garbage.
And then there was a movie?
But David Lynch came back for the final episode of season 2, and it's the best episode. But you have to suffer like 20 episodes of
to get to
shite.
It. Yeah.
And then there's the movie, which was the prequel. Which was very dark, very different tone, but a very good movie. It bombed. There was no more films because he had lots of films planned, and then 25 years later, finally, he comes back.
Or another...
The only thing I don't get with this is that, I mean, I was there back in the day when the original Twin Peaks came out, and it was groundbreaking. You had this whole mystery with the death of Laura Palmer and all that kind of stuff. Now they've brought the series back. I'm thinking, are they still investigating the death of Laura Palmer? Haven't they settled that score? Are they investigating something else? Is fucking, what's his face, the main FBI guy, just walking around eating pie?
Well, he's come back. Well, he came back in the end of season 2 from the Black Lodge, like this bizarre, surreal world.
Yeah.
And now there's 2 of him. There's the bad Cooper, which is basically has Bob, the like mysterious force that was behind the murders and everything. And then you've got Dougie, who's basically the good Agent Cooper, but is brain dead.
Right.
And
yeah, you really need to watch it all the way through.
It is, but I mean, Twin Peaks is barely featured. The town itself is barely featured in this series so far, and it's just awesome.
Wow.
It's David Lynch at his best. I mean, there was one episode in the series where it starts off carrying on the story, but then it stops, jumps back to 1942, I believe, and shows a nuclear bomb test, and it's about 45 minutes of the most David Lynch surreal Eraserhead like craziness.
Yeah, that's why I avoid it, because David Lynch, everyone praises him, but I'm like, really? Has anybody really sat through Blue Velvet again? When was the last time you watched Blue Velvet?
For a long time.
Exactly.
I think when Dennis Hopper died, I watched it.
When people say, "Oh, David Lynch is good," I'm like, right, sit down and watch Eraserhead again and tell me if you really still enjoy it.
Don't ever want to watch Eraserhead again.
That's what I'm meaning. You kind of get... You get this urge to watch David Lynch, and then you watch him and you go, that's enough.
Yeah.
And then this Preacher. Preacher has come back.
Yes, I'm excited for season 2. I loved season 1, so I've not started season 2 just yet.
Season 2 ups the ante, ups the craziness. It's fantastic. Seth Rogen, and I'm forgetting the name of his writing partner, but
James Franco.
Not this time. But they are on top of their game, and it's just some great stuff, some horrible stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I read some of the Preacher comic books. I never finished it. I still own some of them, but there was still a lot of stuff that hasn't translated yet, or it didn't, especially in the first season of Preacher, because a lot of studios didn't want to handle it because of its, the content was very mature.
Yes.
And but what they are getting away with is still, it's enough. And the first season it wasn't too offensive.
Yeah.
Preacher shot my dick off.
Like an ass face.
I haven't seen any of it, but I know Joseph Gilgun's in it, and I fucking love Joseph Gilgun.
Yeah.
Everything he's in, I just think is gold, because he
Emmerdale.
Yeah. I could watch Emmerdale with Joseph Gilgun, and he just brings this character alive. And you get behind him. I loved him in This Is England, the film and the TV series. Yeah. I mean, Lockout. He's at least just up there behind fucking Guy Pearce's character in Lockout, and then seeing him in this playing is it Cassidy, the vampire's name?
Yeah. Cassidy.
Yeah. I don't read Preacher and I don't watch Preacher, but you've got Joseph Gilgun in it.
He is fantastic.
He is really good. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we're running close on time, so I'm going to jump right now into the film news, and we are running low on time, so I'm going to breeze through these fairly quickly.
Right.
Kind of sad news to begin with. Yeah. We have the death of 2 biggies this last month, and the first one was Martin Landau, who died at the age of 89. Some people remember him from 1959's Pork Chop.
Yeah.
But he also had a couple of roles in Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest.
Yeah.
He was in films like Cleopatra, The Greatest Story Ever Told, A Town Called Hell, Treasure Island,
Ed Wood,
Tucker, The Man of His Dreams, Sleepy Hollow, The Majestic, the animated version of Frankenweenie. But yeah, I think he won an Oscar as well for Ed Wood for a supporting actor.
He plays an amazing Bela Lugosi in that movie.
Yes.
And it just...
That's my favourite role of his as well.
Yeah, he was just so amazing translating this character that while you're watching the film, you know the film is bad based on... Well, the film's not bad. It's just bad. It's based on a bad director. And it's just so funny in some places. And then his relationship going back and forth with Johnny Depp being Ed Wood, was absolutely brilliant. I mean, we talked about him recently, remembering that he was in the X-Files movie.
Yes,
you know, and just this shadowy character in the background talking to Mulder. He just felt like he'd always been there in the background of the episodes, talking to Mulder and giving him this information. Amazing actor.
Yeah. This next one, this one hurt quite a bit actually.
Right. Yeah.
And this was the horror movie master, George A. Romero, has passed away at the age of 77, and he passed away listening to the film score of the movie The Quiet Man, one of his favorite films.
Nice.
I just think that's trivia for you. Did anyone know what the A stands for? George A. Romero. His middle name was Andrew.
Not
George. He was born in New York City in 1940, and he apparently loved films so much that he would ride into Manhattan to rent film reels to take home to watch. This man was obsessed with films, and then he became a film master.
And you know what I always found really good? It wasn't the fact that he did zombie movies.
1968's Night of the Living Dead.
It's not that, and I know that some of his later ones, they really waned, especially with the fact that he didn't have the backing from companies, he didn't have the budget, but he was still trying to tell the story that he was always... I mean, the first Night of the Living Dead's got the whole racism thing. You know, the Dawn of the Dead has the whole commercial bit.
Else.
You know, got people just flocking to the mall and acting like zombies. Day has the whole, army versus science, religion and all this kind of stuff. Yes, it's compacted into an only hour and a half movie, but the fact that he's able to bring Tom Savini in as well and go, right, I need really good effects. The Crazies, I always loved the Crazies, especially the original one.
Yep, definitely. I didn't mind the remake too much.
No, I didn't mind it. I'm a big fan of Timothy Olyphant, so I like that kind of stuff.
Martin is the one that everyone is at the moment talking about.
Yeah, and I wikied Martin, and I'm just like, you know what? It's kind of it's got this. It's his kind of way of saying, I'm making a vampire movie, but I'm not actually going to mention anything about vampires. You're not actually... It's kind of like a near dark aspect to it.
In a way, yeah. I after discovering Dawn of the Dead and then discovering that it was the same person who'd made Night of the Living Dead, and that was when I realised I'm going to go and look at the library of this guy's films, and but Martin, it never really stuck with me as much as everyone else kind of remembered it. I remembered the Crazies as my favourite outside of the Dead films. And as you said, he did go on to do Land of the Dead and Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead. And
Survival was bad.
He also did a great part in Tales of the Crypt.
Yes, he did.
Now, George has always famously found the meaning with the monsters, and he wanted to show you something different. It's one of the reasons why George Romero really didn't like The Walking Dead.
Right.
And he said that, and this is in George words, I grew up on these slow moving, but you can't stop them creatures, where you've got to find the Achilles heel, or in this case, the Achilles brain. He said, in the remake, they're just dervishes. You don't recognize any of them. No. There's nothing to characterize them. But I like to give even incidental zombies a bit of identification. I just think it's a nice reminder that they're us. They walked out of one life and into this.
Yeah.
And, it's partially with Dawn of the Dead, like when you laugh at the zombies going up the escalators and bumbling around. Well, when the zombies get pies to the face and they look around at the camera with a shocked face, and it's like, they were people, and you remember that. When I watch The Walking Dead, sometimes I just go, they're zombies, and I forget that they were people.
Yeah, they're more ravenous. That's what they've done in The Walking Dead. They've just gone, we're making them like fucking piranhas. When they see flesh, they're gonna flock to it.
Yeah.
You go back and watch Dawn, and you see Peter and Roger running from one shop to another. Updated to today's standards, they would never survive that run.
Yeah.
But back then, before we were trying to scare people, it was scary enough seeing them running and having to knock them back. And then when they're starting to come as the horde, you're like, oh shit, you got to get back. But then close the door and they just kind of stand there like, oh, I'm going to wander off now.
You know, it's even good in like the slow moments, like when she sat like behind the door, she's just shut it, and they're still like tapping at the window. You got like the nurse zombie.
Yeah, the baseball
she's just
guy.
staring in their eyes, and it's just showing them like, I want to be in there.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. There's so much more character and, well, life to those undead.
I had like the fat guy with his t-shirt off.
Yeah. I always like the guy with the rifle who just walks around the whole film, and at the end
he
he swaps it.
Like, ooh.
The Harry Krishna zombie. You're like, man, that guy is way too purple.
Okay, so this one's a small story, but it's Jake Busey's let slip that he's been cast in The Predator. And he literally said, Shane Black called me and he said, hey, you want to do this movie? We don't have any money for you, but, you know, if you want to come and work for us for free, maybe it'll be fun for you to come and play your father's son. So Jake Busey's actually going to be playing the son of the Predator hunter from Predator 2.
Nice.
So it's definitely tying in. This new Predator film is including elements of Predator, Predator 2, and now The Predator.
Nice,
so
nice.
I really quite like that.
I like Jake Busey. I mean,
Jake Busey said that he's
really
never
good.
had the opportunity to literally. I mean, he follows in his dad's footsteps acting wise, but now he's literally going to be following in his dad's footsteps, hunting a predator. Now so I'm happy to see him do it too.
I know that there's probably a long list of bad films he's been in.
I don't care. Jake
I
Busey,
like
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, brilliant, and The Frighteners. The Frighteners is just
absolutely.
as good.
Those two films are so good for Jake Busey. He can make 100 shit movies, and I'll just still remember he's still good.
And it's the same with his father as well, with Gary Busey, that you're just like, you know, you remember Lethal Weapon because he was a badass in that. Point Break, he was a brilliant cop in that as well. Predator 2, he was really, really good as well. You're just like, I mean, I'm even remembering now, what was it, a Silver Bullet? Where he's playing the kid's uncle and he makes him that super fucking wheelchair. You know, it's a fun movie. I'm hesitant about The Predator, actually. The poster kind of threw me off when it said you'll never see him coming. That's just the wrong tagline you should ever have with a movie.
Really?
The fact that I've seen, you know, the actors and there's a kid there, and I'm like, if you're going to spend the whole movie protecting that kid, it's not.
I don't know. Probably turn out that the kid's a better survivalist than the others.
They should kill him off. They do the Predator.
Maybe they will.
Maybe you pick up a gun and Predator just blast him plasma.
Shane Black said that this. Oh, I'm hoping that it's going to be an 18 rated film and that he gets to make. The Predator the way we want it and the way he knows to make it. And like you said, he was there. He's from the Predator.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of Predator and Predator 2 is that unlike the Alien series where we want to see more of the aliens on screen, the Predator doesn't need to do that with his camo. You know, you just have to feel like, is he watching us?
So long as what he's hunting's worthy, you know, we'll enjoy the film.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the end of the film news. We're going to quickly jump into film trailers. And the first one I want to talk about is Jigsaw.
Oh,
so it's not the next.
Spaff.
Damn it, Ian! Calm down, Ian!
Oh man, I've been fucking waiting for a new
disgusting.
Saw movie,
just like this trailer. Disgusting.
Oh, God, I love
blood, entrails, people
it.
in peril, screaming. You know, I saw this trailer and I thought I'd just watched 4 Saw trailers in one. That's my only problem with it. Is that I'm like. You've got all these people set up with buckets on their head, and then you've got guys in like laser traps, and then you've got people with. So you've got these retro old school traps, and then you've also got laser beam.
It's gonna be
new modern traps.
If they stick to what makes the other Saw movies good, that is, you're not sure what's actually going on. You see the people in the trap, then it will flash back to cops turning up there and it being at the end, but you're following the story, and you just. It's the whole point that I've always made that with the Saw movies, people go, oh, it's far too much blood, guts, and torture porn. It's not that. It's the character. It's his will. You know, he's never once murdered anybody in any of his traps. That he tells you the rules at the start, you follow those rules, and you will survive. If you fuck it up and this is the problem when you have multiple characters in there, they've all got their own egos, their own personalities, they're all trying to get out, they've all got their own background stories, and you're just like, I want him to die next. I want him to die next. Oh, what's that? Oh, it just did that. Oh, that was really good. Next, I want to see the next one. You know, it's just, the Saw series is probably the only horror movie series I think actually really works. It doesn't burn out like, I don't know, Hellraiser or the Dead series, you know, or
for Final Destination. By this point, it kind of they run its course. It was just repeating the same thing, and this one is, by and large, now repeating it. For me, it looks like it's a mixture of Saw 1 and then a mixture of Saw 4, 5, and 6, all merged into one film.
Yeah, but if they get the story right,
yes,
you know, if
but
they get the story's
right. In the trailer. It's the cops going, "Is this the original killer, or is this a copycat killer?"
Well, we know
that's the underlying question.
As a Saw series fan, we know that John is dead.
Do we?
Yes, because he got his fucking throat slit open at the end of number 3.
Was that not just a mask? Was that not a body double? Do we really know anymore?
It's the idea behind it that keeps it going. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you've seen the final chapter, if you've seen the way the final chapter ends,
it was a good ending.
You go,
but door still open.
Oh shit! Oh, okay. This is now opening. But it's like we said after we saw the trailer. It's a good thing they did take a break.
Yes.
Because they would have burnt out too quickly.
Yeah. We needed a bit of time in between the releases. It was great having one to look forward to every Halloween.
Yeah.
And I'm excited this Halloween for this one.
Yeah, but that's when they had a storyline and story arc that worked. Once they got to the end of that, they were like, yeah, we need to stop.
I'm only going into this film because I want to see elaborate traps and people get fucked up.
Yeah.
And maybe learn a morality lesson somewhere along the way.
What is it you don't like about the Saw series, Dave?
I like the first one.
Yeah. That's the only one I don't like. I really don't like the first one.
I think it's a film that doesn't really work again after you've had the twist and you know what's gonna come.
Yeah.
I think it works the first time where you're like, what is going on? Who are these people? Who's Jigsaw? But then it just felt like to me after that it kept going like, is it Jigsaw or is it a copycat? Like you're saying, but it just kept coming on, and the actual murderer it kept getting more stupider and stupider.
It wasn't until Saw 6 when it turned out that somebody else was doing Jigsaw's traps, but they were impossible to get out. John's point was to put bad people. Nobody in any of the traps is innocent. They've all done bad things, and he is obviously putting them in this place to learn a lesson and value their life, because they're not valuing it up to that point. Right. When the other guy took over, he obviously, he
had the same philosophy, but then he was like, "But fuck him."
Yeah, fuck him. I'm going to do my own thing, and so John had already set up all these other things in place with all these other people saying, "Look, if somebody takes my idea and fucks it, I want you to get them."
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, all right, then why? Because they're the bad guy now. Right. And it was just so glorious because it was twists and turns and drops.
But it just seems like, but in this one, it's still his voice and it's still him explaining about the traps.
Yeah, the voice changes. They had that in number 6.
Yeah. I know. It just felt like to me, it's a great idea. I like the premise. It just always seems like they were always trying to cling on to him at the start. It kept flashbacking.
He is the Michael Myers of the series. He is the Freddy
the face
Krueger
of it in a way.
But he unlike them, he's not immortal. He's human and he has died. So people go, well, who is it? And there's the mystery. You're like, well, now we need to find out.
Did he leave instructions for other people to pick up the mantle?
That's it. You said all those people with buckets on their head. I sit there as a Saw fan going, bet you one of them is.
Yeah,
I bet you one of them is the killer, because just like in the first movie, there's always a twist in the game. Of course. There's a twist in the game.
Well, I'm just going to jump now to one last trailer very quickly.
Okay.
And that is The Disaster Artist.
Yeah. Okay.
James Franco channeling Tommy Wiseau.
Right.
Hey, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
What the fuck is
did
the
not
point
do
of
it.
this fucking movie, The Room?
It's the documentary-esque film about the making of The Room, based on interviews with the cast and crew that made The Room.
Now, people say it's one of the worst movies ever made.
It's a very difficult experience to get through, I'll give you that. But it's one of the films that's heralded as being the film that you can give as an example that's so bad that it's good. And people now literally watch it every year. You know, they have parties, they buy Highmark shirts and mugs and celebrate it.
It's played in the cinema every year. Everybody comes with their plastic forks to throw at the screen at the right time, and they all
so it's like a Rocky Horror thing.
It is, exactly, but I'd say Rocky
with the
Horror's
shit
a bit...
film.
Rocky Horror's better.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I'd say Alright, Gary doesn't like it.
I'd probably rather watch Rocky Horror over The Room again. I don't ever want to watch that film again. It was such a difficult experience. And, you know, I understand low budget filmmaking, you know, having a passion to make something. But, you know, when everyone around you's telling you to stop, no. You know, you just need to know, like... Maybe I shouldn't be. But then maybe he should, because look what's happened.
That's it. The funny thing is, he's made a film that everyone told him not to stop making. He's released it, which everyone has told him was a really, really bad film, which has now managed to make him into a celebrity because a lot of people are like, this is so shit, I have to watch it. And you're like, what? You know, and then fucking James Franco and Seth Rogen are like, look, this is so bad, we need to make a comedy out of this. Which is going to make him bigger. I sit there and I go... Okay, people say this is a bad film. I've seen Tekken and Tekken 2. I've watched both Dead Rising movies. I've seen some really fucking bad shit. And I feel like somebody at one point is going to be like, here's some money. I want you to review The Room. And if I really fucking hate it, you're going to fucking know it. I'm going to fucking tell you how bad this fucking movie is if I have to watch it. But at the same time, James Franco and Seth Rogen... I love them in The Interview.
Yeah.
I love them in This Is the End.
Pineapple.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I was very surprised Seth Rogen wasn't in Alien Covenant. But then I was surprised James Franco was in it for that long.
Was he?
You know? I think they work really well. And I watched the trailer after seeing that, oh, hi, Mark moment. And James Franco does look... just like him.
Well,
you know?
No, James Franco's too good looking.
You said that. He's too good looking to play Tommy. But the way that the trailer had him, you know, if that is true, if he kept forgetting that one simple line over and over again and fucking... I think in the trailer it says it's like 67 takes just for that one bit.
But it's a fantastic trailer and very different. I mean,
to
the point where he is... fucking up his line so much that when he finally gets it right and delivers terribly, everybody's like, yeah, great, finally, well done.
Well, on that note, we're going to move into part 2 of the podcast. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to part 2 of the podcast, where we're going to have a discussion about some of our favourite Asian films and the influences it's had on American films.
Yes.
Now, I've never particularly been a major fan of, say, Asian cinema. I've kind of enjoyed some of the kung fu films, but mostly the horror films, because they offered me a window into a different culture and into something... quite terrifying with the releases of films like The Ring.
And
The Grudge. And Pulse. And The Eye. And The Tale of Two Sisters. Just to name a couple of the ones that always stick out and that have stuck with me as well. Now, I was really introduced massively into Asian cinema when I was looking into grindhouse and exploitation cinema. And seeing how a lot of those films first came over to basically American audiences, and it was, you know, those theaters looking for the next thing. Because all that was being churned out was the same stuff, and a couple of people went over to Japan and saw some of these films and like, we need to take these back with us and show them in theaters. And so you would end up getting kung fu marathons, you know, in almost every theater chain down 42nd Street. And it really changed. And then you would watch American studios dub those films
Yes.
for its audience, and then also try to recreate those films. And it was quite a while, really. It was really, in my opinion, it was really the 80s onwards, where maybe the 90s, where they started to get it okay, or not so noticeable. Now, Dave, you would probably disagree with me and say that American films still do not capture the essence of Asian cinema. Is it too watered down, too diluted, too simplified? Or is something lost in the cultural telling of these stories in its native language compared to being remade entirely?
Well, it depends what you take. I mean, first thing I'd say America did actually quite well and did grasp onto was actual martial arts fighting with the likes of The Matrix.
Yeah.
I mean, they got Yuan Wu-ping, a very famous choreographer and director from China, to come in. Although I'm not a huge fan of Keanu Reeves, and sometimes I felt his fighting was a bit wooden in the films, but he actually grasped the wire fu really well.
Yeah.
And then, thanks to the people like Quentin Tarantino.
So wire fu. Do you just want to explain that to me, just in layman's terms?
Well, in Hong Kong, it started with very sort of one-shot kung fu fighting, and then they wanted to show off sort of mystical wushu fighting, which is basically things of legends where fighters could basically fly.
Yeah, bounce off water and trees and things like that.
And basically they done it with wires. Very poorly back in the day, where people would just sort of fly off screen really fast. Or they would actually speed up the editing, which just looks so bizarre, and you'd actually question why they would do it. But as it progressed into the 90s, they actually, which I think is the perfect period of martial arts cinema, where they got the wire fu right. And eventually they got the bigger budgets, and then we saw things like Crouching Tiger, Hero.
Yeah.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was a massive, for me, sort of bookmark, especially in Asian cinema, because that was a new release that had global appeal to everyone. Was that because it had such a big budget? Or was it because of the success of The Matrix that we could then see?
Yeah, it's partial.
I mean, the advertisement was all The Matrix, Yuan Wu-ping, and Chow Yun-fat was getting a big name. Michelle Yeoh was.
Yeah.
They were growing in popularity, so
for me with Asian cinema, I've always hated it when the Americans just take the idea and change it. Going all the way back to the Hidden Fortress being molded into Star Wars.
How can you hate that?
I hate that because when Star Wars came out, it was a big thing and everyone went, oh my god, this is so amazing. Oh, they've never seen anything like that before. And yet, what? How many...
technically that is true.
The basis of the story, though. I mean, yes, taking away the fact of the special effects and the lasers and the models and all that, that was amazing for Star Wars. The fact that he took the tale of a princess and her two cohorts in Star Wars, it's droids. In the Hidden Fortress, they're actually soldiers that have gone MIA. And then you've got the samurai figure in Hidden Fortress who would then become Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars.
Well, it also turns out that Empire Strikes Back also borrows from Asian cinema as well.
Exactly.
And from the same director, I believe.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. It's like, they came across all of these kung fu movies, like you said, the Sonny Chiba kind of extraordinary, the Street Fighter movies that came over into the cinema. And then somebody went, oh, I'm going to just copy that. But I'm not going to tell anybody where I got the idea from. No, fuck that. I'm going to tell them it's all my idea. And then I'm just going to take all the praise. And I'm just like, well, no, because you've literally just lifted that from this film that was out 10 years before. But you should be advertising it. Like we said, Quentin Tarantino did it very well. He got behind the camera. He made a bunch of films. But he was telling people... Yeah, Reservoir Dogs is really good. But that scene where they're all pointing guns? Yeah, I took that from this Asian movie.
To the point where with Hero, it was actually him who actually brought it to the West because he loved the film so much.
Yes.
instead of like where most American directors were like, well, we're gonna whitewash it, turn it to English, and then get the audience in. He was like, no, this film is amazing. Yeah. You've got to see this film. But yeah, it's things like The Departed from Infernal Affairs. Yes, it's just like, it gets so much acclaim, but it's basically Infernal Affairs where you've got big American actors in and just put fuck in every other sentence.
Yeah. It's the same thing with, like, right now soon you've got the Belko experiment coming out. And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it looks absolutely brilliant. It's a bunch of people who are working in a company. The company shuts down the whole building, and now you have to kill off a certain number of people or you all die. And I'm like, this is Battle Royale in an office.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Battle Royale, when that came out, that was
I have to say, that is one of my absolute favourites as well. I love the concept and the execution of it. The second one, not so much.
Yeah, the second one, not so much. But the first one was done so good that I think that's what got a lot of people's eyes open going, oh, wait a minute. There's a whole, like, cinema over there. Why have I never seen these things before? Because your American and European film companies go, nobody's going to understand that. So we're either going to not advertise it or we're just going to, change it completely.
Yeah, I mean... There are a few examples where these films have, like, Battle Royale did get a limited release in the UK. And that's where I saw it, which, like, my film teacher was telling me about it, and we were so excited about it. And then my friend gave me an illicit VHS tape of it with Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back on the end of it, which was also awesome. But it was like that, Crouching Tiger and Ring. The original Ring, which didn't come out in the cinemas in the UK, but Channel 4 bought the rights and released it within a year of its Japanese release.
Yeah. When I watched The Ring on TV late at night in my apartment when I was living on my own, in the dark, I fucking shit. I watched a lot of horror movies before I watched that, and I thought, oh God, it can't be that bad. It can't be that scary. But there was just something that the director did so well without the blood. It was
almost subliminal, the way it got to you.
Without the blood and guts.
There's only been a very few amount of horror movies that have really got under my skin and stayed with me for quite a while. And part of that is the setup and the setting that you put yourself in when you watch one of those films. Now, the first one was the Blair Witch Project. Now, I don't highly rate the film at all, but I watched it when I was on my own in a massive sort of 24-bedroom house, and I was on my own in there. And when that film had finished and I had to walk, 2 minutes to get to the bathroom, like, unnerved. That was when I realised I was unnerved even after the film.
Yeah.
The Ring did that times 12. I was watching it, and I knew you'd introduced me to the film, and you were in the house when I was watching it, but it was late at night, and I had to come and hang out with you and just talk to you for an hour after the film just to wash the film off of me. Because I was like, I cannot just go back and go to bed right now. I just can't do that.
Yeah, the same thing with The Grudge as well, the original Japanese Grudge. When you see that little boy, that really creeps you up. And then when I heard that the Americans were remaking these films,
wasn't that Ghost House Pictures, and that was Sam Raimi and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah,
and so I was kind of optimistic, but that was dreck.
But that was it. You were optimistic because you hadn't delved that much into Asian cinema. That when it was being released in over by the Americans, you were like, oh, I haven't seen that movie, so I'll see what it's like. I looked at it and I was just like, okay, I know the story. I know how it ends. If they just remake it as an American, then they're going to ruin themselves because the original is so much better, And then I sat down and watched it, and I'm like, just because it's got Sarah Michelle Gellar in it doesn't make it good. You're missing some of the techniques that the director used in the original movie, like I said with Ring as well, by just making it louder, and making the jump scares just right in your face. And I'm like, oh, fuck off.
The thing with these films is it was more about everything. they didn't have great cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, they're quite grainy, but I mean, they're usually stuck in one place, and they're usually handheld because you can usually see a wobble.
Yeah.
Barely any sound.
Yeah, minimalistic.
Yes.
There's hardly any music, and when it does come in, it's usually some very strange,
discordant noises.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That unnerves you as well.
I mean, the scenery, it was usually like your basic cramped-in Japanese apartments or, schools, anywhere you can relate to.
Yeah.
The production value wasn't there. They weren't heard of actors.
Sorry, I've just gone off on a tangent here, but there was a video game where you went around with the camera and had to take pictures of ghosts.
Project Zero
here.
for the Xbox, but it was like Crimson Butterfly or something in Japan.
And there was a whole series of those games, and I really enjoyed those as well because it felt like I was stepping into that universe of horror movies in video game form.
I was actually going to bring that up because it's a lot like with the games franchise as well. Over in China and Japan, they love their RPGs. Love them. They've done some of the best RPGs around, but we never hear of them over here because it's like somebody somewhere in an office goes, "Nah, let's not release that. That doesn't look like it'll sell a lot. Why don't we just redo Call of Duty?"
It's
again?
because they've got to decide whether it's going to be cost effective to buy the rights to distribute it and then manufacture all of the cases and then get it all out to store shelves, or whether it would just be a digital release.
Yeah, but it's
plus
like
translate
and translate it and everything else. Yeah, and some of those games are fairly long.
And like I said, that's what brings me to the back to the films, because it's like with Project Zero on the Xbox, there was just a feel. All you had was a camera, and that game scared me more than I was scared in Silent Hill 2. And Silent Hill 2 was pretty fucking nerve-wracking. I got halfway through Project Zero, and there was at one point I just literally saved it and I had to put the joypad down because I turned around with this camera and there was this upside down ghost. Or no, the ghost was coming towards me, but the head was the wrong way around because the girl's neck was broke. It fucking shit me up. But just to do that, like you said, with the music, the background, some of the cut sequences. Same with the films. Pulse, the original Japanese Pulse, still terrifies me to this day because there's that one sequence where the guy he sees an open door which has got the tape.
I was going to say, I just remember the tape.
Yeah,
just want to tape
and
everything
he goes
up.
into the room, and then the weird ghost is walking towards him, but it's an actress.
Sofa one, isn't it?
Yeah, and her legs and arms are all kind of going all wavy, and watching her come towards you is so unnerving. It's just like watching the girl from The Ring climb out of the TV towards you. Everything that has gone on through that film has built it up that there's one point where you go, okay, this is unnerving me now. The Americans, they jump scare you so much because they're like, oh, they're not going to get it.
So you've just been numb to it by then.
Yeah,
and yet they build up the music. It's like the music's coming, something's gonna happen.
That's it. And when I watched the remake Pulse, and I was just like, this is dredge. And then to find out that they'd made a Pulse 2...
There's actually, I think there's 4 Pulse movies.
I'm like, fuck
They did it with everything. They did it with The Eye. They did it with The Grudge, The Ring.
Well, I think, wasn't the
One Missed
Rings
Call.
was out earlier this year or last year?
Yeah, they remade The Ring. They remade Rings, and I'm just like, okay, the only people who have no understanding of the plot are people who haven't seen the original.
Or they just go, oh, people used to talk about that, how scary that was. I'll go watch the new one instead.
Then remake the original. Get in the original actors. Don't, like we say, I mean, it's being used a lot now. They're whitewashing actors. They recently did it with Doctor Strange with the ancient one.
Yeah.
Changed him from a fucking ancient, Chinese magician into what's her face from fucking Constantine. And I'm like, why would you do that?
It's to the point where it's almost like insulting to the audience.
That's sometimes I feel that
it's like, no, they won't understand these people with the black hair and the different eyes. No,
Yeah.
they won't understand it. We need to get someone else in.
How about on the flip side where I'm going to bring up a show that is massively popular.
Yeah.
And it is where they've taken something that was very popular where it's come from and turned it into a mega hit by dubbing and rechanging and refilming bits and putting it back into it.
Okay.
Can you guess what I'm talking about?
It's not Hawaii Five-0, is it?
It's definitely not.
Okay.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You know? They've taken that content that existed and completely altered it, and in some artists would be like, you've bastardized my work.
Yes.
Despite whatever it is, but turned it into something hugely successful, which is now a cultural phenomenon.
Yes, it is a cultural phenomenon, but you've got to really get it, you've got to understand where it comes from.
But have you ever gone back and just looked to see what the original Power Rangers look like?
I have gone back and I have had a quick look. And yes, it is over the top and it is crazy shit. I mean, God knows what those people take over there to enjoy shit like that. I mean, we say the same things like with a lot of the manga movies as well, and Macross and all these crazy fucking robot giant ships flying at each other, blah, 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 explosions all over the place. You kind of get used to it. You watch enough of it, culturally, you're like, yes, I get it. And the same thing was with Power Rangers. When you were a kid, you're watching it and you're like, yeah, I really want to see them change. I don't give a fuck about the morals or what kind of lessons they're given.
Or what Bulk and Skull are up to.
I just want to see them morph. And before you realise it, you're watching them morph. And you're not watching the American actors anymore. You're just watching the fight sequences that they've taken from the original TV show. That's what I always love. That always brought in my love for the Godzilla series. I've been a massive fan of Godzilla all my life. I just love watching a guy in a rubber suit smash around a plywood town. Because I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. And I know a lot of people hate the Americanized Godzilla movie that came out.
Yes. I mean, I'm not even a big Godzilla fan. I've only seen 2 or 3 Godzilla films.
Yeah.
And then I've seen highlights of all of the Godzilla films. Like Cinemassacre, he did, his
Godzilla
a little bit on all the Godzilla. So that's how I've appreciated them, because I know I don't have the time to marathon all those films, and I don't think I'd ever want to, because I would find myself, I feel, fast forwarding just to watch Godzilla do those things. And I don't really want to watch all of the human drama that's involved in those films.
See now, why not? Because you're willing on doing that with the 2014 remake.
Yeah,
and you sat there and you enjoyed it, and you enjoyed.
But I hated the Roland Emmerich.
But
Godzilla.
You still watched it all the way through.
Yes.
So both of those films have completely useless human drama in, because all we want to watch is the monster stuff. So why watch
Bryan
those?
Cranston,
You don't bring up the Bryan Cranston thing on me. Just because he was in fucking Breaking Bad doesn't make him a good actor.
It just gives him. He can do whatever he wants.
Because that's basically what they did with the new Godzilla movie. They whitewashed it. They said, right, okay, we're making Godzilla,
and he's coming to America.
Oh, he's coming to America again. Let's not.
Neil Diamond song.
let's not make Godzilla the star, because there's a couple of points in that movie where it's like, they're about to fight and we're going to cut over here to the guy and his wife and their kid. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I can only imagine, and this is the only way I defend the 2014 Godzilla movie, is that they watched the original 1956 one and went, that's what we're going to do. Godzilla's not in a lot of the 1956 one. He's only in a few shots, and then he's got the big destruction sequence towards the end, and it's all the drama, the relationship between the doctor creating the oxygen destroyer, his girl, or supposedly his girlfriend, but she's in love with some other guy. And I can understand what you say, that it's boring, but you're just like, just get with the characters, because their story is what's actually going to get entwined with Godzilla. Whitewashing it in the 2014 one and making Bryan Cranston in it, and then going, oh, we're going to take Bryan Cranston out and make his son the lead. I'm like, oh, fuck off. Didn't you learn from the Matthew Broderick movie? There's a great line in the Matthew Broderick movie where the woman actually turns to the guy on TV and says, it's Gojira, you moron. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. If you don't understand it, if you're just coming and watching a Roland Emmerich movie and going, that's the best Godzilla movie ever, it's like, fuck you.
Yeah, but the original films, if you can get a hold of them, most of them are horribly, horribly dubbed, which makes it very hard to watch it for the human element when their voices are so fucking
like they're
dumb.
cartoons.
Yes. It's so funny though. I mean, some of the script writing in some of the original Godzilla movies. I watched one recently where there was a giant egg, and
is it Son of Godzilla?
No, it was Mothra versus Godzilla.
So Godzilla's female.
Yeah, well, he's pregnant in the Roland Emmerich one, so I suppose he can be whatever he wants.
He has had son.
Yeah, he has had a son. Yeah, but there was this guy in this film who was constantly eating an egg. What? He was just eating an egg. He comes on screen. He's like, "Hey, boss," and he's eating an egg. And
method acting.
A couple of scenes later, he comes out. What are you doing? I'm eating my egg. I'm like, just kill that guy, please. I don't want to see him, and I want to see Godzilla. And then you get to see Godzilla, and I'm like, this is what I signed up for.
Listen to like Brad Pitt, he's always eating in most of his scenes in films. It's just, he's working his craft.
Same thing with martial artists, actors. Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Sammo Hung, Donnie Yen. They had careers before they came to America, and yet nobody bothered to look into that.
I did.
You did,
Very
and I
few
did.
people did. Yeah,
we dipped into it. Now, I know what people may say about the Rush Hour movies. I enjoy the Rush Hour movies because I'm a fan of Jackie Chan, and I've always been a fan of his martial arts work. Yes, I know that the films are not great. The same thing can be said about the Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights. I'm like, it's so bad. But I want to see Jackie Chan just beat the crap out of people.
Yeah,
but the fight sequences are not as good as his original stuff. Like Dave said, with the handy cams they used to have in the old movies. Just the one camera. Right, we need to get this in one shot, and we've got one reel, and then we've got to move on. So you've got to make all of this stuff work. When you watch the old Asian martial art movies, you can see that there's a lot of love in the craft. They're putting a lot of work into this tiny one shot that they can only get once. And then when they pull it off, you're like, that's really, really good. When you come up to America, they're like, right, we've got like 12 takes, we can do it. So if you fuck it up the first time, don't worry about it. We'll just keep retaking it until it comes across. And you lose something in it. That's what I feel.
Yeah, well, it started with Bruce Lee, obviously.
Yeah.
Martial arts came over, but then he died, and then Hong Kong was like, shit. our cinema is plummeting. Yeah. Nobody's going out to see any films. We need a new Bruce Lee. So they found, your Bruce Lee, Bruce L.I. and Bruce
the clones of Bruce Lee. Anything, yeah.
And then they were just shit films. Like, they didn't look anything like Bruce, and they just wanted him to act like Bruce, but these films were bad.
Yeah.
But you did have the Shaw Brothers movie studios. It was kind of like China's idea of the Wild West.
Yeah.
It's basically a studio. You have your sets, and you have your key amount of actors. You put them in and out of films. And they were doing well, and they were quite popular. And it wasn't until like Jackie Chan sort of was loaned to Golden Harvest for Drunken Master and Snake and Eagle's Shadow. Where
amazing films. I love those films.
They kind of had your kind of average kung fu plot, but they added comedy into it, and the action choreography was fantastic, and it sort of just blew up in Hong Kong. I mean, every Jackie Chan film after that would break box office records after the next.
Yeah.
And like, you had Sammo Hung doing his thing with the Lucky Stars, and you had all these big names, and they went right through to the 80s, breaking more box office, and you've got some of the, I think, best martial arts films ever made with Police Story, Project A, Dragons Forever. And then you sort of hit the 90s with the Jet Li, Donnie Yen age, which was Once Upon a Time in China.
Brilliant movies.
Fong Sayuk. And these films just were amazing. The Wire-Free was great. The action was so intense and brilliant. And then it just sort of... They went to America, basically, and China's never sort of replenished its actors. They've never got new talent in these martial arts roles, and they just stopped making martial arts films.
It kind of went on. I remember. Stop me if I'm wrong, but the 90s, that was when John Woo started to really open up with, right, we're not doing martial arts anymore because it's starting to die down. We're just going to go full on guns, explosions, and things like that. And once again, that would pave the way.
But even those directors came over to America to work.
Yeah, but like I said, going back to The Matrix, it would pave the way for films like The Matrix, where it was just like, we just need guns. That whole sequence in the first Matrix, where they drop the bag and they shoot out all those guys, that you could easily just see that in a John Woo movie from the 90s. Loads of just squigs going off.
If he could have pulled it off, John Woo would have done something.
Yeah, all that craziness. Yeah. When they come over to America, though, it's like somebody says to them, I don't care what you did over there, you're going to do something new here. And that's where they do fail,
Yeah, I think it was Kevin Smith was talking about John Woo. It's basically, this John Woo's massive, let's get him over here. And then they saw some of his work and said, what's this? Stop doing this. This two-gun nonsense. Yeah. Make our films. What are you doing? And then he made some god-awful shit.
Yeah, Did he do Face Off?
I love Face Off.
Yeah, Face Off is brilliant. I love Face Off.
Face Off.
Oh, God. I actually like Nicolas Cage as well.
Face Off is one of the rare films where I'm like, they must have just let John Woo just do his own thing. We're going to let you do what you want. The Replacement Killers isn't great.
No, it's not.
It's a great intro.
It's a great intro, but it's not a great film. And I think he returned back to...
We did like Broken Arrow.
Which is pretty damn good as well. I don't know. I like Christian Slayer.
I like Christian Slayer,
yeah. Mission Impossible 2. Which...
Yeah, the doves. I hated the doves.
Mission Impossible 2.
That was the one with the bikes, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the original movie. But for me as well, it's like, you know how the Americans love doing their old West movies, their old war movies. Asian cinema does old Asian history really, really well. They get the look about it really, really well. I hear really great things about Red Cliff.
Yeah, that was a John Woo film.
And that I'm supposed to watch that, and I'm like, I want to. I just can't even go a hand on it yet.
I saw the film, and I can honestly not recall anything from it at all. I remember rewatching the trailer, and I was just like, yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me it was totally forgettable. It was style over substance in the end.
Yeah, I mean that's what happened in like Hong Kong and China. Like the martial arts movies dried up, and then it was all these big epic war films, like sort of either fantasy or sort of building on like the war. Was it Three Kingdoms?
Yeah,
the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Yeah, and or they did this over the top bad CG fantasy films where they are so far behind the West that these films are so hard to watch because the effects are bad, and then they got into 3D when they were a bit behind that fad, and now they're awful CG 3D films. And
but they have some really unique films that get through. And then, like I said, somebody over in America goes, that's really good. Let's just remake that.
Well, there was one martial arts film that also had lots of gun battles in it as well.
Yeah.
That really set records, on fire again. And everyone talked about it because of the violence in the martial arts was so brutal.
Yeah.
The Raid.
Yes.
And that also got a sequel. And I can't remember if my news on this is a bit fuzzy. There's either a third movie planned or an American remake of The Raid.
I think it's partially both.
Yeah.
The second one wasn't as accepted as well as the first one because they basically took all of the stuff from the first one and then kind of tried to ramp it up, and it was over the top.
Yeah.
The first one was brutal, it was gritty,
believable as well.
Believable as well. The second one just kind of made it go a little bit too overboard, and so people were like,
I didn't really like the second one because of the story.
Exactly.
It was a really long story.
I couldn't
and it was
believe
dumb.
that he had gone through all the events he did in the second film, and I don't think he had slept since the first film either.
No.
And I was like, there is no way, there's no endurance ever. No one can withstand this much abuse and still be fighting, to the peak that he is at the end of the Raid 2. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't.
Yeah, that's it.
That
was for me. At the end of Raid 2, I was just like, I would rather just watch the first one over again. And yes, I think there's rumors that the Americans would love to remake it, but I sit there and I'm like,
why? It's
don't
like
you
understand?
Don't need to. Yeah, don't you understand? Remakes don't work because we already know the story. We know already how it's going to end. Even if you throw in all these plot twists and change characters around, it still has to end like that, or it's not a remake. Yeah. It's actually just a retelling of the original film. And that's even worse! It's even worse if you're just retelling the original story. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of praise for Train to Busan at the moment. It's a zombie apocalypse movie where everybody is based on a train, where it's all based on a train. And I was just like, okay, I like that idea.
That sounds cool.
Keeping it compact on this train. But you can tell that the people watching it aren't Asian movie fans. They're not saying that there aren't people out there who've watched it and gone, oh my God, that was really, really good. It goes in line with all these other movies that they've released in the company. But some people have come up to me going, oh yeah, it's really, really good and it's brilliant. And I'm like, well, how many other Asian movies have you watched? And they're like, none. So I'm like, you can't really put it on par with anything, can you? Is it as good as Battle Royale? Haven't seen Battle Royale. And I'm like, God damn you! Why haven't you watched Battle Royale? Oh, because I don't like Asian cinema. You just fucking told me!
Well, I don't think it's that they don't like it. It's just that they don't know what they like yet. And they just need to... I would say that generally, like 90% of everyone that I come into contact with on a daily basis would not go out of their way to watch those films because the vast majority of non-film buffs don't even know they're there, where to begin.
Yeah, that's the wrong thing. I feel it's that if you are a film buff and you are a big fan of film, you have to watch something from every corner of the globe. But the thing is, it's like instead of just watching the easy one handed to you on DVD.
You have to, but when you're looking at something that you have no experience in, what are you going to do? You're going to sample a little bit, and what if the 2 bits that you've just sampled you didn't like? You're probably going to go off somewhere else and try some samples there until you find something you like and then explore it. And so you might accidentally just try 2 shitty things. And then and then put away anything else that's on the table.
But that's just picking and choosing. I mean, anybody could do that. But if you're just gonna pick and choose, I personally feel if you're just gonna pick and choose, you can't honestly say, oh yeah, it was really, really good, because you've got no comparison for it. It's the point where, for me, I've been watching Asian cinema since I watched my first Kung Fu movie back in the early 90s. I got a shitty VHS and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna watch this. It was I can't even remember what the fuck it was called, but it was a really bad story. The martial arts wasn't brilliant, but it opened my eyes to go, wow, I really want to see more of this. I want to see where this goes. You get worse movies, you get better movies, but you just keep taking it in to the point where when you see the remake coming out, you go, nah, that's not going to be as good. Oh no, I really want to go see the new Ring movie. I'm like, have you seen the original? No, then go and fucking watch the remake then.
Does it? I mean, I'm just guessing by your response, but it does make you angry. When people, I mean, are you angry at their ignorance? Because I kind of, I don't feel angry at them. I just, they just feel like somebody just needs to show them these selection of films.
It makes me angry because I get caught into that same trap. If somebody is talking about Game of Thrones and I sit there and I go, I haven't watched it. people point fingers at me. You are an outcast. Get out. You cannot watch these kind of things. Outsider. It's like they look at me and go, because I haven't seen that, I have nothing to talk about. Which I go, yeah, that's fine.
But somehow, I think you kind of enjoy that attention.
I kind of do, but I go, well, okay, I'm not gonna shit on your finger and tell you I'm right. You've got your thing, I've got my thing. But when it comes to Asian cinema, people sit there and they go, oh, I've just watched this one Asian movie. It was really good. Why don't you watch more? No, because I don't want to read the subtitles. That's what I fucking hear. Yeah. I don't want to read the subtitles. Well, then why don't you watch it dubbed? Oh, because dubbing's so bad. Will you make up your mind? Because you're missing...
Well, to be honest,
you're missing out on so much.
Dubbing today, 2017, over the last couple of years, dubbing has gotten really good.
Yes.
On some shows as of late, and I'm mainly right now thinking of anime or manga.
Yes, you've been getting right into the Attack on Titan.
I've watched Attack on Titan season 2 now. I've watched it dubbed, and I've watched it with the original voices.
Yeah,
and the dubbed English American voice actors are doing a really good job.
Yeah, I mean that's been going on for I don't know if you've ever seen Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Where I think a lot of people actually prefer the dub because it's done so well.
It is done really well, so it is changing.
Yeah,
and so it is. It doesn't feel so cheap anymore.
Yeah, but it just opens up this whole universe. I remember back in the early 90s, I used to stay up till like 2:00 in the morning on Channel 4 to watch. I think it was Cyber City 0808.
Yeah,
that was brilliant. It was manga that I was just like, oh my god, this is so much better than Watership Down. How have I never seen
better?
It before?
I always just saw it as something so different. It was just refreshing to have something other than the same, the same meal over and over again.
I mean, I'm going to bring out a big one now that I want to see what your impressions are like, right? Okay, so back in the day, in the early 90s, we got Akira.
Yeah. Akira was the very first... That was my introduction to manga. That was the very first thing I watched. And I remember my neighbour gave me it about 7:00 in the evening, and he was like, you need to watch this today because I've got to take this back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you have to watch it tonight. And I was like, well, I've got to do this, this, and this. And then I went to watch it, and I put it on at about 10:00 at night.
Yeah.
I had school the next day.
Yeah.
And my brain was just in a different place that whole next day.
Yeah.
I couldn't even articulate what I'd just experienced.
Yeah.
I'd never seen people die in an animated film before.
Yeah.
Not in the way that I saw happen in Akira. I'd never seen that sort of dystopian future before.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that kind of technology, those ideas before. And so, that opened my imagination, my fantasy, everything was just changed after Akira. And so that's why I hold that film up probably even higher than, well, it's rated pretty highly, isn't it? Actually?
Yeah.
Well, I started with Gal Force, which is just some cute girls on a spaceship. Not quite the same influence as Akira, but then,
I got really lucky with my sample, see?
I watched that when I was 10, so it was about 95, and then I bought every, manga video, VHS.
Yeah.
Trying ADV film, so I was getting everything at age 10. I used to go to the second-hand shops and they would stupidly sell me all the 18s, Arotsuka Doji.
Arotsuka Doji!
No,
Fist of the North Star. One. Yeah, I was 10, 11 when I watched that. And that was an awakening in a different way.
But the fact that now...
I remember Violence Jack. Was it
Violence Jack? Violence Jack.
I remember catching that late at night. It was just like, what is that?
But it's brilliant, but it's awful. It doesn't even make any sense.
Ninja Scroll as well. Yeah. That was another amazing one. But the fact of the matter is that now they are planning on remaking Akira. Live action.
Yeah, they've been trying to do it for 10 years now.
They should not.
They can't do it.
Yeah, they can't because, like I already said, with something like Akira, if you've sat through the original movie, at the end of that movie, you're like, well,
did that even make sense?
That was an experience and a half. How did that end? Where did it go? You know, it would carry on into comic books over in Japan. The same thing you are expecting in the remake. If they change one little thing in that movie, you will fucking know it, and you'll be like, "Nah, fuck this movie."
Right.
Fuck it, because you've changed it to make it
actually
easier
I would
for the audience.
If they made changes in the live action Akira, I'd probably have to go and rewatch Akira again to see the differences that they had made, because I would probably, and then I'd have to watch the live action one again just because I'd be head fucked.
But it can work though. I mean,
I think it might.
The
work.
Manga is very different from
the actual
animated film he would make years later, but both are superb. But I don't think America could come anywhere close.
They won't.
They would have to change it and simplify it.
And that's that
because
that does anger me.
Big budget American films need to be like Transformers, get their money back. They need to, if they're going to spend that much money, they need to make it to mass appeal.
But don't you think it would just...
And also Akira is quite adult rated as well, and so that's a huge gamble.
It would be so much easier for them just to go, you know what worked back in the 70s? What's that? Opening cinemas up and showing movies that you're not getting anywhere else, and just doing massive fucking marathons of these films. I would love to be able to go to the cinema nowadays, the fucking, extreme screen, not even 3D. I don't even want 3D. Just a massive, huge screen playing Akira to me, because I never got the chance to see it when it was first released. I only got it on VHS and had to watch it on a shitty TV at home. I've watched it on DVD now on a big screen, and I'm like, that is still amazing. I just want to see it on a bigger screen. Seeing some fucking American kid playing the main guy, and some whitewashed girl playing the girl that he's got to rescue. I'm just like, animated 2D characters are better actors than you at the moment. I just need to go back and watch that. It pains me. It pains me. But I'm the type of person nowadays, now I'm older, because I've experienced European cinema, American cinema. I was going to say European and British, but British cinema is different to European, French, German, Italian movies. Asian cinema, Chinese cinema, Japanese cinema, even Korean.
Yeah, I was going to bring up South Korea. They've had every now and then, every 3 years, they'll have a hit.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Like Train to Busan or Busai, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I think before that it was Host.
Yes, Host was another brilliant
Was that
film.
the killer monster in the ocean?
That was and the dad trying to get his daughter back. Yeah. That was brilliant.
Before that, it was Park Chan-wook, is it? His Vengeance trilogy with Old Boy, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Lady Vengeance. So, Yeah,
I remember I got it from you, The Warrior, or Musa as it was called, which was a massive blockbuster hit.
It's been our
Korean cinema
review to-do list for a while now, isn't it?
Adding it to the list. And I remember Dave saying to me, I was going through his film collection at the time, eating up all the Asian cinema I could get from his film collection. And he was just like, here, watch this. And I was just like, all right. So I took it home. Fucking loved it. The camera work in it, the detail in their costumes, the battle sequences. It's an amazing fucking movie. And then I took the DVD back to him and he went, you can keep it. I was like, oh, really?
I am such a nice guy.
And then I went home and I watched it again the very same day because now I owned it.
Yeah.
And, with that kind of film, I know that the Americans could redo it. But instead of having those main guys, they'd have a white guy. They'd have fucking Matt Damon in it. They've just done it with.
So what did you think of the last? I was about to say the Last Jedi then, but it was the Last Samurai. Sorry.
The Last Samurai. I love samurais. I really do.
You love Akira Kurosawa.
I love
the granddaddy of the samurai film.
I love those. Yojimbo is amazing, and then
Sanjuro.
Then watching Sanjuro is fucking amazing too, and then seeing Tom Cruise in it.
When you say his name after Samurai,
But to tell you the truth, I still enjoy that film because of its artistic appeal. The fact that, yes, Tom Cruise's face is plastered on the front of it. But his character arc is really well done because he starts off as this outsider Westerner.
I also really enjoyed the film as well.
And by the end of the movie, he is on the side of the enemy that he's supposed to be fighting against. You know, I love that. I love it when when the film companies go, you know what? Yes, we've got this big name actor in, but let's keep the focus over here. The same thing with Clint Eastwood and his Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. Letters from Iwo Jima is fucking 10 times the movie Flags of Our Fathers is.
Yes, it is.
They are two different
they are.
types of films, and I do really like Flags of Our Fathers.
I don't.
I do really like it because of the kind of story that they're telling of these heroes going back to country. You know, they're being claimed as these great honourable heroes, but they're all broken inside from what they've seen.
Yeah.
You only know that when you watch Letters from Iwo Jima and you see what they go through, the battle sequences, the Japanese soldiers having to just throw themselves at the enemy. And then even then seeing that inside that military force, even though it's completely dishonourable for them to do it, they want to just get out of the battle and go home.
Yeah.
They want to do that, and it just humanises them. And it brings me to the point that I feel that you really got to break down those barriers in cinema and in the computer game universe as well by saying, look, we're all really the same. We may do things differently, but we are all really the same. And those films are just as good as some of these films over there. Those films over there are just as good as some of the films you may find over here. But like Gary said, I'll agree with that, is you've got to sample these movies.
Well, as I was going to say, before we bring this part of the podcast to a close, and I talk about good samples, let's end by, if you guys would just list off maybe some of the best samples for people listening right now to go and purchase or watch or get to watch at some point.
I'll let Dave go first.
Well, how about we start with, because we did start with Japanese horror.
Yeah.
You said what was your favourite?
For me, it would be the ones that stood out the most would be the first Ring, The Grudge, and The Eye.
Anything from the Tartan Extreme catalogue, then.
Yeah. A Tale of Two Sisters, I thought was really dull. Actually, I remember it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would put that one on the side, like an hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah, if you got through the others and you still want a little bit more, try that one.
Yeah, and The Pulse as well.
Yeah. Mine would be a bit earlier than the sort of 1998 to 2002 horror, which is Tetsuo the Body of the Iron Man.
Oh no!
Oh, Tetsuo!
I've forgotten all
fucking
about Tetsuo
Iron Man.
Is that the toaster and the kitten and the
and the drill penis?
Yeah, the drill penis.
It's only about 40 minutes long, isn't it? It's not. Wasn't it a full film?
No, it's a full film.
Oh my god!
And the sequel as well, where he blows up his son
Body
with his
hammer.
and
the
cannon.
third film.
There's a third?
Yeah, there's a third one.
It only came out a few years ago.
So that was Tetsuo. Iron Man. Tetsuo's Iron Man's the second one, isn't it?
Iron Man's the first one. Body Hammer's the second one. Just watch the first one. It's black and white. It's stop motion. It's creepy. It's very in your face. And the more modern, me and my wife really like Dark Water, the Japanese version.
Yes.
Not the Jessica Alba, I think, was in the horror.
Yes,
movie.
I saw both of those versions, and I'd love Jessica Alba, but that was awful. That was so bad.
But yeah, it was really creepy and really sort of just dirty. The apartment is just, yeah. Anyway,
I'm just a fucking orgy fest of Asian cinema sometimes. You know, like I said, I love all of the Akira Kurosawa stuff from back in the day. They are some of the most beautiful movies to watch. Yojimbo is possibly my absolute favourite, but Seven Samurai comes really, really fucking close. If I've got 3 hours to spare, I will fucking sit down and watch Seven Samurai.
Isn't it over that? Isn't
It's
it more?
7 more, but it's so beautiful. It's such an amazing film. Anything with any of those martial artists that we mentioned, Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, Jet Li, fucking Sammo Hung, Michelle Yeoh, fucking Zing Zai, you know, there are, the list is endless, but you see some of the stuff they go through. Same as Jackie Chan, you're just like, how did he survive at the end of that movie to be able to release it? Any of the horror stuff, Even House. I really want to see House. I want to see if that's as fucked up as people say it is, because it looks fucked up. The piano eating somebody looks absolutely crazy all the way up. Battle Royale, fucking Grudge, Ring. Pulse is terrifying. Put Pulse on, to dark room, and just go all out. Nowadays, there's not really much that catches my attention, but still there's probably a few historical artistic movies, like we said, with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, with the whole War Fu. They just, people like Chow Yun-fat, they've just got this present on screen that he just holds your attention, like, what's he going to do next? And he calmly just will walk around the room. Or, like Hard Boiled, he'll just fucking whip out 2 guns and just start blasting everybody left and right. Get out there. If you're one of these people who sits there going, nah, I'm not going to watch it because the subtitles distract me, don't fucking read it. Just look at the visuals, But if you can actually look down quickly and get the basis of the story and then look up before the next action sequence kicks off, you won't you won't hate the experience. You'll enjoy it.
Reminds me of Police Story 2, a Jackie Chan film. It's like in an amazing fight scene in the park. I mean, if you do read the subtitles, it's literally just get him, mash him up. You can either avoid that or you can look down and giggle.
Any more recommendations, Dave?
Police Story 1 to 3, Project A2, Fong Sook 1 and 2, Once Upon a Time in China. I think all those are the perfect blend of modern and classic kung fu films.
Awesome.
Manga as well. Hit up the manga shit.
Stop just calling it manga. Manga is books. You fool.
All right, well, what would you consider
anime?
Sorry. Because
you are going to get so many people angry.
There's so many people angry at me for anime. I will bring my motherfucking VHS copy of Akira around next time, and you can see the fact on the side it says manga.
That's the company that released it.
Well, I'm sorry. Well, anything released by the manga company, like Akira, Fist of the North Star, Vampire D,
Manga Entertainment,
fucking, Golga 13. Golga 13's not brilliant, but still really good. Yeah. Any of their stuff is brilliant.
Awesome. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of part 2 of the podcast. But don't go anywhere, because we'll be back answering your questions. Which brings us to part 3 of the podcast, answering your questions.
Yeah, I love this section.
Best part. First question comes in from Jake Sutcliffe.
Hey, Jake!
Who says, great work with the channel, guys. My question for the next podcast is, if you could have a male and female actor sit beside you as you review one of their movies each, who would they be? It's a good question.
For males, it's easy. I'd have Bruce Campbell. He'd be like top of the fucking list. Yeah. I mean, I could go for a list of loads of male actors I'd love to get in, but Bruce Campbell.
And what would you review with Bruce Campbell?
Oh, fucking.
Doesn't have to be a Bruce Campbell film, I guess.
Well,
say one of their films.
One of their films. It would be Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, can you just do that line again?
Well, he doesn't. He refuses to.
I know
to acknowledge those things. He's like, I'm not your monkey.
Yeah, but you'd have to be for our review. It's very hard to get him in for any other films. Some of them are bad. Female actresses. I saw this question and I was just like, who would I have in? And to be honest, and I am a male and I very much love my wife. Any female actress, I'd probably have a very hard time even looking at the film without taking my eyes off of that. For example, off the top of my head, if somebody said, "Oh yeah, you got Scarlett Johansson coming in, and you need to review her with her," I'd be like, "I'm not watching her. I'm just watching her." Sigourney Weaver, and we're going to sit down and talk about Working Girl. I'll be like, "Hey, Sigourney."
It would not be a very good review.
Yeah, people would call me a lech, probably.
Yeah, probably. I'm having a hard time thinking. For me, I would rather sit with the directors instead of the actors. That's where my mind went to. But for actors,
Tough one.
be a
It's a
director.
very
You're
tough
stumped,
one.
you're stumped now, aren't you?
I'm totally stumped.
I
Yeah.
don't see why I couldn't be a director. I mean, most directors are kind of famous and well known, and
I would.
recognise them.
Yeah, okay, tell you what. I would have Quentin Tarantino, who is actor
Yeah,
slash
there we
director.
go.
So there we go. And I would have him, and I would want to review From Dusk Till Dawn. Fuck it, because I love that film so
He didn't
much.
direct it.
He didn't direct it, but he
produced
acted
it.
in it. He produced
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
he
you know.
did, and he was acting it. That's pretty good. Yeah.
So-
you get Rodriguez in a wig for your
Yeah.
counterpart on the
Oh,
other side.
Actually, speaking of, I think I'd get Michelle Rodriguez in,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I'll talk about Avatar with her, or maybe Resident Evil.
I'd probably get Jackie Chan,
Yeah.
and I'd probably do Police Story 1, and I would just be sat next to him with my head on his shoulder, looking up into his eyes, going, "I love you."
So kind of like me with the female actresses, then you'd be elected to Jackie Chan.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also to Maggie Chung for the female.
Nice.
Where
Nice.
I put my head on her shoulder, look into her eyes, and say, "I love you."
Nice.
All right, next question is from Will.
Hey, Will.
Will Schwarting,
Hey,
who
Will
says,
Schwarting.
"Great podcast as always, guys. Question for the next podcast. Do you ever read the novels that films are based on? And if so, what books do you guys think have been translated into films the best?" Review request, American Psycho. I really love your interpretation. I'd love to hear your interpretation of the ending. Keep up the good work.
Oh, see, that's difficult. Cause
I only made it halfway through the American Psycho book. Really like the film. That was my introduction to Christian Bale. And I'm just trying to think of my interpretation of the ending. Was it all in his head? Because
Yeah.
obviously the body and everything's all cleaned away at the end. And he explains that he's gone on this mass killing spree, yet
Yeah,
there's no evidence to
there's
suggest
no
that he
evidence
did,
to
except...
suggest it.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I always catch the books after the film has been released and then compare it. Like, I've got the three main
True, I did
Alan
that a
Dean
lot with
Foster
Stephen King.
novels for the Alien trilogy. They were really enjoyable to get through, but I avoid really...
But were those novels based... They were based on the screenplay of the film.
Yeah,
So...
yeah, but I think they came out after. I mean,
Well,
you know, like I suppose the Harry Potter books I've read like up to Goblet of Fire, and then kind of stopped because the films were out, and I just thought, well, fuck it, I might as well just watch the films. It's a hell of a lot easier than finding time to read these massive novels. Some of the times I have trouble with the books just because of all the fleshing out, the descriptions, the details. You know, you've got to have this big imagination to imagine what they've got when you get the film and it's there on screen, and you can just, it's there. You know, you don't.
I think the Lord of the Rings was a great adaptation of a series of books. For me, I think John Carpenter's Christine is a good translation of that book. The Mist, I really enjoyed that adaptation.
Yeah,
Shawshank
yeah.
Redemption and
Shawshank
The Green
Redemption.
Mile are excellent, absolutely excellent films. And the source material was good. Those films are excellent.
Any Dave? Any novels?
I tend not to read many novels, especially sort of where it comes to being adapted into a movie.
Yeah.
I did read The Shawshank Redemption. That's a very good book.
Yeah.
Battle Royale. That was a
Battle
very
Royale's
good
another
book.
good one, yeah.
But yeah, so I just enjoy the film.
Yeah.
Plus I
enjoyed
can't
films.
read.
DMC Campbell
Hey, Campbell!
says, "Thanks guys for reading out my previous question. I did have a question based on this James Bond themed discussion, but keen to hear both your opinions on it. Would a James Bond film work where there is some kind of mastermind who brings together Oddjob, Jaws, disregarding Moonraker where he becomes good,
Yeah.
Xenia Onatop, Knick-Knack and Stamper to take on 007, or some other storyline that brings together all of those iconic villains. Some obviously will have to be played by different actors due to some of them passing away, etc.
I was going to say, that's really difficult because I'm pretty sure
Most of those villains are dead.
Yeah, most of them, especially Xenia Onatop, she was crushed against the tree. And on top of that, it's Bond. You already know from the very start of the movie that he's going to win. So you could have a fucking army of iconic villains coming after. You could have fucking Dracula come after him. And
he doesn't.
Bond would beat him.
Bond doesn't have a rogues gallery. That's the thing. Because they're dead each time.
He takes them out. He's got license to kill, and that's what he's going to do. He's just like, I'm going to try and talk you down. No, bang, you're dead.
Plus, when films try to have multiple bad guys in one,
it loses the focus.
And they tend to be terrible.
I think only this idea would only work, but not as a James Bond film. It would only work as a parody.
Yeah,
it's the only way you could do it. Like Austin Powers.
Even if you had all those villains in there, one of them would end up turning good. Because they'd go, oh, it's a bit unfair.
It's because there's too many villains.
It's a bit unfair. The character itself would be.
I don't know whether they'd become good. They'd just have falling outs within each other. Which super plan was to be put into effect. No, our base needs to be on the moon. No, it needs to be in this volcano. Yeah. Let's fight.
And then while they're fighting, Bond goes around, plants all of his bombs, and goes, see ya.
Yeah. They'd all be in it for themselves. So they'd all have double-crossed each other by the end of it anyway.
I think it would only work as a parody. Too many henchmen. You know, just one or two good henchmen along with your main villain, boss, whatever.
Yeah.
That's how we're usually playing it safe.
Yeah.
Next question's from Aaron J.
Hey, Aaron.
I also have another question for your next podcast. If you could go back in time and go to any gig of any band or artist that is no longer performing, who would it be and at what point in their career?
Jimi Hendrix. And I would love to see him when he first came over to the UK, because he came over here to get away from all of the management bullshit that he was going through and just established himself in those really small, smoky bars. You know, just seeing him on stage, getting out his guitar before he hits the drugs really bad. You know, the drugs helped him. You know. Accumulate some really good sounds from his guitar, but you know, before that, just hearing it for the first time, that would be amazing.
My first port of call would be, I don't know, maybe I'd love to go back and see Metallica, the S&M concert.
Yeah.
I'd love to have been there. That would have been amazing. I would have also perhaps loved to have seen Meatloaf.
Nice.
You know, I grew up listening to Bad Out of Hell. You know, damn, what an artist. Queen even.
Oh,
Freddie
Queen's
Mercury.
a good one.
They would have been amazing. I'd love to go to maybe a David Bowie concert as well.
Yeah.
But I'd also just love to sit and listen to Pink Floyd. You know, I've seen the cover artists of Pink Floyd, but to listen to actual Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
That perhaps would have been amazing. Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen the Beatles in their sort of later dates, sort of back in the USSR kind of time. Sergeant Pepper days.
So seeing them on top of the roof when they did the live performance, that would have been amazing.
You know, when they had all grown together and sort of got out of the sort of
the teen phase and
the sort of teen bopper pop phase
and went into the experimental phase in that era.
When the drugs hit.
To see John Lennon. Before they all fell out and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I guess Black Sabbath, the original, sort of around Paranoid.
Before the drugs hit.
Well, they were probably on drugs at the time, but still see Geezer Butler and all of them together, because they've reformed, they've got back, but they've never fully got back. There's always been one missing usually. And...
Yeah. So many.
Next question. Yeah, because I was also thinking fucking Black Sabbath would be amazing.
Yeah, I was. As soon as he said that, I was thinking about Marilyn Manson.
Marilyn Manson, when he was in the prime of the goth kind of movement.
Yeah, and I suppose the key thing is as well is seeing those bands, any band when they are just starting off before they've hit it big. You know, imagine going to see Nirvana. You know, never even hearing any of those songs, and then seeing Kurt Cobain come on stage, fucking Dave Grohl hitting those drums.
Yeah. You
know, you'd be like, oh my God, this is absolutely groundbreaking.
Yeah. All right, next question's from Matthias.
Hey, Matthias.
Straw polls, hooray! Yeah, we actually had one.
Yeah, we did.
And the results are in, and the review that you have requested will be reviewed. I'm not giving it away.
It's on the list.
Because it was on the list. You voted for it. But his question is, he says, Jeff mentioned that he liked Lilo and Stitch and WALL-E.
Yeah.
And I remember Gary once mentioning growing up with and liking Jungle Book. It's the very first film I ever remember seeing in the cinema.
Yeah.
It's the very first film I have in film memory. And he says, what are some of our favourite animated Disney movies?
Sword and Stone.
Sword in the Stone.
Love Sword in the Stone.
Sword in the Stone is... I put that up right up there next to Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Really do.
For me, Sword in the Stone is just... it's not the best Disney film out there. I know that there's some people would be like, oh, it's not that great. But I just love the little moments between Merlin and Wart. You know, turning him into something. Turning him into a fish or a squirrel. Or, you know, just the magic side. And then the cool little twist at the end when Merlin comes back and he's blown himself to Bermuda, but he's come back and he's talking about all these futuristic things, you know, like mobile phones and shit. And Wart's like, what? What are you talking about? Just, yeah, love that.
I always remember the female wizard. What was she? Madame Zen?
Madame Zim.
Zim. Yeah.
And he turns himself into a germ and gives her a cold to beat her. It's like, yeah, that's awesome.
Other favourite Disney movies?
There's so many.
Song of the South.
Dumbo.
Dumbo's being made into a live action film right now with
Will Smith. Is it the Will Smith one?
Dwayne Johnson.
No, it's probably
just throwing names in here now. You know, Kate Blanchett. He's confused now.
Tim Burton, because Tim Burton. I was going to say Alice in Wonderland. Was my other favourite Disney film. That film is so fucked up. It's so memorable. I love the characters, the Cheshire Cat especially. I really like that one.
Yeah, the Walrus and the Carpenter is a brilliant moment in that film.
Yeah. Any other favourites? You know, I enjoyed The Lion King for a little while. When it came out, I really, really liked it. Kind of never really gone back and watched it.
You know, I don't mind Aladdin, and I actually do enjoy The Return of Jafar, the sequel.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
it was a darker film.
Yeah, those films work. I mean, nowadays, they nostalgically they don't hit you as much because it's new and you're kind of a little bit older. But when you think back, like I said, for me, Sword in the Stone, it was one of my first Disney films to watch. And then it was the one that I always enjoyed going back and watching more than watching the others. You know, I'd sit down and watch Lady and the Tramp or 101 Dalmatians and be like, nah. I want to watch fucking Sword in the Stone again for this movie.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'll second that. Was the Robin Hood
Robin Hood, film. That's another one. I
absolutely love that one as well. Yeah. I'll never forget the...
Oodalali, golly, what a day.
Yes, brilliant.
I've got to admit, I've never liked a Disney film.
I
never liked an animated Disney film.
It's because you're dead inside.
Yeah, I don't like when they sing.
I don't like when they sing either.
They always seem to be the same story over and over again in my mind, and I did watch Rotsukadoji when I was 10, so I was always doomed.
Yeah, you were tainted.
I was never.
Why is this girl not being raped by tentacles? This is not an animated movie.
Where's the decapitation? Where's the people popping?
So tame. Next question's from Clarky Clark.
Hey, Clarky Clark.
Have you guys played or reviewed Horizon Zero Dawn? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Is that the futuristic cave girl going around defeating...
In the apocalyptic...
Post-apocalyptic
metallic dinosaurs and shit.
Now, my housemate... I have the PlayStation 4 here. Have the copy of the game still in its cellophane wrapper. I just have not had a chance to get to it yet. But I kept the question on here in case either of you guys had actually played it or experienced it.
You know what? It didn't interest me, honestly. I didn't know
it received really high reviews, and people that are playing it can't stop playing it till it's over.
Yeah, I
good gameplay, good graphics.
I get that, but it's an open world game.
Are you excited about the new Zelda?
Not really.
Oh, all right then. I was going to
honestly
call you out for being a hypocrite.
Honestly, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Zelda, and I love these open world games that you go out and you can do these things. But at the moment, I don't have as much time as I used to playing games. You know, I think the last game I actually played through and really really enjoyed was Doom, and so that was it. And then when I got hold of my arcade fucking bundle,
that
was it.
You were set. There was
I
nothing
set.
new.
You know, if somebody said, "Oh, are you gaming?" Yeah, okay, I'll sit down for an hour. But then after that hour, I do have to get up and do other stuff. You know, normal life takes over. When people turn around and say, "Oh God, I just played this game. It's absolutely amazing. How many hours did you put?" "Oh, I've been playing it non-stop for fucking 4 days." I'm like, you don't have kids, do you? You don't have a job, do you? No, I still live at home and I've just bought this game. It's absolutely amazing. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I played Final Fantasy 15, Tales of Berseria, Yakuza 0, and Persona 5, all over 100 hours each.
Yeah.
And then to go into a big open space and put more hours into it, I was just like, I can't right now.
Yeah, you just can't.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I'm always reluctant to, because open world games are a big investment, and unless the thematically or characters are going to pull you into it, or if you already know that this is the sort of game for you, because I'm like, you know, I'm waiting for Rockstar's next Red Dead Redemption 2, you know, or another game in the Witcher universe, because I know that those are companies that will build an expansive universe that I can really get invested into, and so I don't mind if I can only play for an hour here and then eventually have a 6-hour session here with a couple of 1-hour sessions in between, because I know that I'm going to keep coming back to that.
Because you need something after the Andromeda debacle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I still enjoyed Andromeda.
Yeah, but go back to podcast too. Like, I can't stop playing this game, and now I'm like, we'll go back to the last
podcast. I couldn't stop playing Friday the 13th, and yet I haven't played it all week. I'm actually having withdrawal symptoms from not playing it. I thought playing Blood and playing Outlast would cure my craving, but no, I'm jonesing to get back to Camp Crystal Lake, Ian.
That's it. Like I said, I remember sitting there with you, watching you play Andromeda, like, this is going to be my game, and then all of a sudden, boom, Friday the 13th comes out, and you're like, I'm playing this. And I sat there watching you play Friday the 13th thinking, I'm not going to bring up Andromeda yet, because I think it's still a sore subject.
Hey, when they start releasing more content that's post end credits to that game, which I'm sure they will do, like every Mass Effect game has had a plethora of DLC come with it. Some of it was really good.
Yeah.
So once they release more content, I will have a look at it and see whether I think it's worth the investment to come back to it.
Bullshit! You'll just go back to Camp Crystal Lake and carry on killing councillors.
Yeah, because by then they'll have released the campaign mode. Next question comes in from Craig Hall.
Hey, Craig Hall.
It says, "Hi lads, another excellent podcast last month. It's almost as if you know what you're doing." Hey! We have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah, don't give us that credit.
Anyway, I accidentally found myself watching Lost in Space. Yeah, the crap movie, not the TV show. And it got me wondering.
Danger.
As William Hurt and Gary Oldman are both terrific actors, and Lost in Space is utter soul rot, what are your favourite examples of superb actors in terrible films, and also crap actors in amazing films? Tom Cruise in Last Samurai stands out as an example of the latter.
Bruce Campbell in Army of Darkness. That's a
crappy actor in a great film.
That's what people consider a crappy actor in a crappy film. But for me, Bruce Campbell in Army of Darkness is absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
a brilliant actor in a shitty film though. Oh,
it happens a lot.
It does.
And
Scarlett Johansson, Dave, and Ghost in the Shell.
Well, I'd say Pete Takeshi, an amazing actor in a terrible film, Ghost in the Shell.
I'm trying to think, but I try to delete those fucking bad experiences. You know, I try to pretend like they don't exist. But Bruce Willis in Die Hard 5.
Yeah, but Bruce Willis, was an amazing actor, or is he still is an amazing actor?
He still is an amazing actor, and then to go and do Die Hard 5. You know, I just got through Die Hard 4 and just accepted it as, a standalone Die Hard movie. For them to release a film with a title of A Good Day to Die Hard.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd rather watch Bruce Willis in The Kid. That's another Disney movie. I'd rather go and watch that. I'd rather watch Red 2. That's even worse.
I hated both the first Red.
Exactly.
What was the Sean Connery's last ever film? The Extraordinary Gentleman. Extraordinary Gentleman. I mean, how awful was that? And that was Sean Connery's retirement film.
Yeah, that's a bad film. That's a bad film. There's so many. You're bringing up bad memories, Gary.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
Yeah, fucking. Oh, Michael Caine and Jaws the Revenge.
Yeah, I can't top that one right now. Damn.
That's a shit film.
Next question's from Callum.
Hey, Callum.
Hey, guys. In light of the passing of George A. Romero, I would like to know what your thoughts are on Land of the Dead, which is often considered the black sheep of the dead movies.
No, Survival is.
Yeah.
Survival of the Dead is, I'm guessing still even major George A. Romero fans maybe have not even watched that film, or if they have, don't really talk about it that much.
You have to.
I've never come across anyone who's tried to defend that film to me. They just kind of, it's almost like they feel embarrassed about knowing about it.
I kind of remember a boat.
Yeah, there's a boat
and a horse.
I remember there's a guy and a zombie sneaks up on him out of nowhere, and still manages to bite him. And I'm just like, this is so bad.
I just forgot it as soon as I finished watching it. Was just
and I think it's also because zombies before Land of the Dead, zombies had just become a major mainstay. Before The Walking Dead, zombies were still a major mainstay in media, especially in video game form. And so zombies never went away. And so when the master of that subgenre came back to it and really didn't... he was given the budget for Land, but then when he was back to independent filmmaking again, he... and like he said, he doesn't like making zombie films.
Yeah.
He likes to tell stories that have characters in it that change and evolve, and the zombie thing is going on around it as well. But... that was still weak in my opinion. It didn't have the strength of the metaphors, for instance, that he had in his other films.
I like Land of the Dead. It's not as good as Day, Dawn, or Night, but it has some good bits in it. I mean, the main zombie, kind of remembering and then wanting to lead this force to take him out. I could get behind that.
Well, it's because we had Day of the Dead, which introduced us to zombies that were that were changing.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of enjoyed. I was hoping something big was going to happen, but by the end of the movie, I was like, it's not going to happen.
I liked the setup. I liked the idea that. The super rich were staying in the top of this skyscraper, and yet those that couldn't afford it were kind of living like just outside of it. Yeah, and it was an easy way to, because the whole idea for Land was to show the class system and how stupid it is.
Yeah.
When the zombies are outside.
But some of the moments really work, like that point where they're like, "Oh, the zombies can't get us because we're surrounded by water," and then you just see them all just flopping into the water.
I really like the Dead Reckoning.
The truck was the big point, but it didn't get the screen time that it should have to really establish this thing as this over-the-top mobile fortress that they're using to take out. You get a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah,
they fire in fireworks, and then you just watch stupid people do stupid things. I like Dennis Hopper and I like John Leguizamo, but even some of their scenes are a bit cringy where he's just like, "Oh, I'm getting rid of all your trash," and Dennis Hopper's like, "Haha, yes, because I'm super rich." I'm like, just shoot him in the fucking face. Nobody's gonna care. Just shoot him in the fucking face.
The worst part in that film is when Dennis Hopper goes, "Hey, what's that over there?" And he points away, and then he shoots the other person. And you're just like, that worked.
But in context, next to Diary and Survival, Land of the Dead's fucking Oscar winning.
Really, I prefer Diary to Land.
What?
Diary has some interesting points, and I liked some of the characters, but it still just descended into stupidity when they got into the panic room part of the film. That was when I lost it. I was like, no.
I can't stand any movie where the guy won't put the fucking camera down. I swear to God, if there's a fucking apocalypse and one of you grabs a camera, I'm going to make you eat it.
How else are we going to continue to do reviews, Ian?
We've got to document this shit. Fucking put it down and pick up a goddamn weapon.
But we still haven't reviewed Friday the 13th yet.
I don't give a fuck. We're on the siege, motherfuckers.
Was it Land of the Dead where it did like silhouetted kills?
Yes, there was a couple of shots where
blood spraying the walls.
Blood spraying the walls, and like we said though, we know that he didn't get the financial backing that he should have done. He didn't get the support he did, and this is why after Land, Diary is weak because he was trying to work it with what he had, and then you can really see it in Survival that they were working with they weren't working with a shoestring budget. They were working with a shoestring.
That's what I saw with like Land. It looks like it has a budget, but then again, it looks like it doesn't have the budget. It's like it's trying to make it look this big blockbuster, but it just doesn't look.
That's it.
Good.
Fiddler's Green Fiddler's Green. You see in the background, like, oh look, it's this giant tower. But then when you get up close, you don't see anything.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see. You should have seen a tower and floors and people getting ripped apart and left and right, but you didn't. It was just. The ending was all over and done with before you knew it.
Yeah. So, but last time you marathoned the Dead films, do you skip Land or do you usually include it?
I include Land. I include Land now. It goes four for me. If after Day, I'm a bit tired, I'll stop there. Because Dawn is so fucking long. So fucking long. The day is like a nap sequence you can get through. Land I can get to, and then I just stop.
Yeah,
and I stop.
That's where I tend to stop now as well.
I stop because I'm like, if I carry on, I've got to do Survival of the Dead, and I remember buying that on DVD. It's a horrible nightmare I still have. That I saw it in the supermarket, and I was just like, "Oh my god, George A. Romero's got a new movie out! Oh my god, it looks brilliant! I've got to get it!" And I bought it, and I took it home, and I rang Gary. Gary, guess what? Well, I've got George A. Romero's new movie.
What the really? Fucking really? I'm coming over.
God,
I've got to watch
it. And then I was like, "Oh wait, I'm going to watch it first, and then I'll tell you what it's like." And then after the film, I was like, "I've got to tell Gary about this."
I say,
oh my god, I bought this movie.
I say, this isn't the age of the internet. Didn't either of you look it up?
No, because nobody was talking about it.
Didn't even know he was doing it. Next question's from Linda.
Hey, Linda.
I have a question. What was the first horror movie you watched, and how old were you? Earliest memory of horror movies. Now, I've mentioned it before, but it was the earliest memories I have is Nightmare on Elm Street, Critters, Hellraiser 2, and The Burning. All of those around the same time-ish.
Yeah.
I remember seeing all of those. I guess before that was Jaws. And I don't always consider that as a monster movie. It's not really horror like the others.
For me, I have strong memories.
And also for age around that time. This is all of those films I'm going to say is around the age of 8 to 12. So I was exposed to horror movies really early on. Actually, I remember getting The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, for Christmas as a Christmas present for like when I was about 11.
Yeah.
And whilst I was at my dad's with my brother eating Christmas dinner, I put John Carpenter's The Thing on, and we're tucking into dinner as the dog sequence is playing out, and I'm just like, I've lost my appetite. Watched that sequence through, and it was just like, this is the greatest film ever. Like, this is the greatest Christmas present ever. Like, wow.
For me, I have a strong memory of watching Psycho 2 at a young age. I think I was about 8 or 9 as well. But back then, you only got to see a lot of the films. Well, for me personally, a lot of the films on TV.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a big video collection. We didn't have a lot of money to just be renting films all the time. My mum was big into, Ian, you should not be watching TV. You should be outside in the world enjoying the sunshine and the fresh air, even though we lived next to a main road and cars were going past all the time. So it was like, okay, you come in, you go to bed, and you're watching your TV and you're flicking through the channels, and I'm pretty sure Psycho 2 was on BBC one night, and I was just it shocked me, mainly because there seemed to be this big thing behind it You know, I would obviously later on go and watch Psycho 1 and be like, okay, this is really, really good. But at the same time, after that, I was always constantly channel hopping each night, trying to find my next fix. And I remember Saturday nights on ITV, Channel 3 was a big one as well. Predator, Aliens, The Thing. You know, then you get onto, like we said, in the middle part, when you got onto Channel 4 and they were showing all these Asian movies.
I don't know if I've shared this story before, but it's kind of a little bit embarrassing. But,
I'm going to love this one then.
I was given a copy of Aliens, again, at a really young age.
Yeah.
Never even heard of Alien. And somebody said, you'll love this film. And I put it on, you know, about the age of 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Put the VHS in, got into bed and started watching the film, and you have that sequence where she dreams about the chest burster.
Yeah.
And then like an hour passes and fuck all has happened.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And I got up the next day and, you know, rewound the tape, took it out and gave it back and went, nah, it was shit. Like 3 weeks later, my mum is watching a VHS tape and I walk in and all kinds of crazy shit's happening. I'm like, what film are you watching? She's like, I'm watching Aliens. And I'm like, oh.
Well, mine's warped me for life. Basically, I'm a younger brother.
Yeah.
So my mum and dad would, you know, want to show my older brother films, but would forget that I'm like just over 2 years younger than him. And she first showed me Poltergeist when I was 6.
Nice.
And that gave me nightmares for about 3 years straight.
Was it the clown?
No, it was
tree,
it
the
was
man
the
in
tree.
the mirror, the tree.
The tree.
Yes.
Every night the tree would come in through the window and grab me, and it literally would stop me sleeping most nights.
Yeah, that was so effective, that film. I love Poltergeist.
See, the funny thing is, I watched Psycho 2, had no problems with it. A little while after, I happened to catch the beginning of American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
When his friend gets ripped apart, I fucking ejected that videotape and threw it across the room. Because it fucking terrified me. My mum came in, gave me a whack. She's like, don't fucking throw things across the room. And I'm sat there terrified because I'm hearing this guy going, David, come back! I saved you.
See, I thought that could have gone two ways when you said eject. I thought you were going to say ejaculate. I was like, what the fuck?
What the fuck is your mind on? That's too much sensitivity.
Okay, next question is from Thom WJ Sexton.
Hey Sexton, I'm not going to do that whole one. Hey Sexton.
What's your idea of cinema theatre etiquette? And have you had bad experiences with this in the past? Because recently, it's been a massive problem for me. Now, I've heard horror stories of bad experiences of American cinema goers and people just not giving a shit about anyone else in the theatre. It's almost like it's a private screening and you're intruding.
Yeah.
It's really disrespectful behaviour. I spend quite a bit of time in the cinema and I see animalistic behaviour from everybody. Yeah. It's almost like, fuck it. You're not at home, so just litter. Throw your shit everywhere. Doesn't matter that someone's got to come and sit in that seat after you.
Yeah.
You're not there anymore, so it's not your fucking problem. There's the last bad cinema experience I had was when the reboot Star Trek came out.
Yeah.
And I was kind of excited to see it. I was like a massive Star Trek fan. I'm swallowing my, everything, and I'm just going to accept this. I'm not going to walk into this outraged that this is happening.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try and enjoy this.
Yeah.
And 2 seats behind were like a group of 6 that just decided to talk and yell and shout throughout the entire film, and they were obviously pissed as well, and drunk, and continuing to drink throughout the film, getting up and walking out halfway through and coming back up making noise. And I'm just like, there's only so many times you can politely ask them to just stop.
Shut the fuck up.
The fuck up and enjoy it. And, and so what do you do? Do you be the the douchey person who goes and complains to a manager or a member of staff to go and get them removed, or
no, you kind of
just grin and bear it and know they paid the ticket. But
in experience, when you go to a cinema, it's like going to any kind of live gig or a fucking comedy show. There's bound to be an asshole.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a fucking asshole there. And with the cinema, you need to pre-plan in advance what you're doing and when you're going to go. I never go to first night showings. I never want to ever go to a first night showing.
The crowded
because there's going to be like 500 fucking people in there. It's going to get hot real quickly. They're going to be rustling and crisp packets and people talking and
the smells of different food
people
and
walking
drinks
up and down. I don't want that. That's why I barely go to the cinema anymore. I just would rather wait the 6 months, get the film on DVD and watch it in the comfort of my own home. 2 major events that happened when I was at the cinema just fucking pissed me off and made me want to just avoid going with people. The first one was when you and I, Gary, went and saw Serenity.
Yeah.
And we were going with a bunch of friends to see it. And you and I were massive into Firefly. We were so
film
excited.
Came out on my birthday.
We were
it was
so
like it was
excited
meant to
about
be.
Serenity. So we said to everybody, we were going to the cinema and watch Serenity. We go there with all of our friends, and before we've even walked in the cinema, half the group have gone, a lot of the guys have gone, I'm not going to watch Serenity. No, fuck that film. It's fucking shit. I'm going to go see fucking Wallace and Gromit Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Yeah.
And I'm like... yeah. That fucking pissed me off because I'm first like, okay, it's Gary's birthday, it's his fucking movie pick. You just sit and grin and bear it. You don't fucking tell us immediately you're going to go the fuck off and go see another film.
Yeah, I remember.
Then when we actually sat down in our group, there was like 6 or 7 of us. I sat down with everybody, and they were just we had a couple of girls there as well, one of your ex-girlfriends. And I could just tell it was just going to be completely uncomfortable sitting with these people who
had never even watched the show.
Yeah, who weren't even fans of the show. They were just, in a way, they were just kind of coming because obviously it was your birthday. So I got up and walked to the front of the cinema and sat on my own to enjoy the film.
That upset me.
I wanted you to come down.
Wait, I could hear you from across the cinema.
Yeah, well, when that one major moment happened, I was like, fuck, because the whole rest of the cinema
You spoke for the entire building at that point.
The other second time that I had a bad time in the cinema was when I went and saw The Dark Knight. I was told I had to go see The Dark Knight. It was absolutely amazing. Heath Ledger was a brilliant fucking Joker. And so me, the wife, and another friend, we all went to the cinema. It was still like 2 weeks after it had been released. And when we got in there, the cinema was absolutely packed. So we managed just to find a couple of seats together. We sat down. I was right on the edge, close to the screen. So I'm just like, Ian, just grin and bear it. There's a bunch of fucking people here. There were 2 kids sat in front of me, and their parents were sat behind me. And every 10 or 15 minutes, the kids would get up and go and speak to their parents and say about how bored they were. And the parents would say, no, go back and sit down. And so they would come and cut back in front of my vision and sit back down. And after a while, I was just like, I think that was when I really made the decision of, you know what, fuck the cinema. I'm just going to wait until this comes out on DVD. And then I'm just going to watch it over and over again at home. And from then on, I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to wait the 6 months. I don't need to, I don't need to see a film on a big screen, because when you go to see a film on a big screen, it's not just you. It's 499 other fucking people, and most of them are dicks.
This is true, and I do appreciate that, but at the same time, I also quite enjoy the collective human response to some films.
Yeah, I don't like humans.
I saw Spider-Man: Homecoming with a large crowd, and everyone laughing. It was nice. Also sat in. I watched War for the Planet of the Apes, and there was only a few people in there, but I could hear the sniffles of other people in the theater, and it was like, you know what? It's this film's hitting all of us.
Yeah,
we're enjoying it. We're in our own little bubble. There's no one within like 4 seats in front or to the side of me. But it was fine.
That works in the context of the film. Remember when we went and saw Covenant, and they came out with that fucking finger the hole blow through it,
and everyone in the cinema sniggering,
burst out laughing.
And it's just
like, man.
Yeah. But that was because it was deserved. You understood that was the collective response to everyone in the theater was laughing at a fucking alien movie. It was fucking rageous. God damn it!
All right. Let me change this. Well,
what was yours?
Brown
I've
paper
got
bag.
Too bad as well. I guess it's a duo for everyone.
Yeah.
First one was Jackie Chan's new Police Story, which I was so excited for. It was the first Hong Kong Jackie Chan film to come to the West.
Yeah.
Subtitled. Brilliant.
Big screen, yeah.
It was me and a few friends. It was pretty empty cinema, but there was like a group of what we would call chavs at the back of the cinema.
Chavs.
Basically, they're already talking, messing around, being twats. But then the film came on, and then we heard, "Oh, what the fuck? There's subtitles. Why don't they speak in English?" And then they just started with more racial slurs and just being utter dicks. And then in the end, they started a fight with someone else that was in the cinema, and that guy got them thrown out.
Nice.
But it just sort of really ruined
the whole experience. Yeah.
And the second one was Paranormal Activity 2.
Why the fuck would you see that in the cinema?
I didn't. I quite like those films, and I think they're quite good as an experience. But me and my wife went to see it, like, I think opening weekend, and it was jam-packed in there.
Yeah.
I can
but
imagine.
there were like about 30 drunk girls near the front that were screaming every 3 seconds, no matter
Nothing was happening.
If nothing happened, and then they'd all scream and they'd all giggle because that's so funny.
Because they were all scared.
And it was just so irritating and ruined it for everybody trying to...
Because they had a great time, everyone else suffered though.
Because those films work if you're like just focused.
Intimate,
Yeah.
I watched the first one in the cinema, and you know, I didn't jump. I didn't really get scared. I was like on the scientific level, just kind of curious as to how it would play out. And when it play, you know, and all that build up for the last 5 seconds, I was just like,
yeah.
I watched the second and third one at home late at night, hoping for a scare factor. And the second one actually, you know, it got under my skin a little bit. I kind of got a bit jumpy. I kind of got almost like an Amityville horror-ish feel from it. That sense of fear I had the first time I watched that film, of a demonic presence that could just at any moment fuck you up.
And it works with the like CCTV cameras all over around the house, and it's just going to focus on the kitchen.
Yeah, I like the homemade style of it. So.
Yeah, it focused on that kitchen for like 40, 50 seconds.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, sometimes you can... I look for something and go, okay, I'm going to put myself in the state of mind where I can try and be scared. And that film managed to do it.
You've got to completely switch yourself off. The first movie's what, like an hour and a half long, and they're fucking halfway through the movie, they're like, hey, look at this footage. Oh my god, can you believe that move? Yeah, let's stay one more night. Alright then. Hey, did you see the fact that you were walking around with a knife in your hand and murdering the cats next door? Oh, I don't remember that. Yeah, let's stay one more night.
Well, alright, they're going to, after the first event, gone, alright, let's go. And the film ends. It was that was rubbish, wasn't it?
At least have some reality in there. At the point of the first movie where he comes outside and he sees her in the absolute cold, and she's like, I have no idea what's going on, and I'm so scared. Tell you what, dear, let's stay one more night.
Right, we're getting sidetracked here, so we're going to get on to the next question. Next question is from Guy.
Hey, Guy. It's that guy.
Are there any movies you've seen as an adult for the first time that you wish you had seen much earlier in life? Crawl is one for me.
Nice.
I like it as a 30-something, but would have liked it much more as a kid, I'm sure. Also, are there any movies you particularly regret not having seen at the cinema? Some for me are Iron Giant, The Rocketeer, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Kung Pao, Enter the Fist.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I'm going to say, Crawl, because I tried to watch Crawl as like an 18-year-old and I stopped watching it. I turned it off. I was like, I can't get into this. I know.
Can't get into the fantasy.
I know I've missed it. I know I've missed the window of getting into this. But watching it now after seeing some of these other fantasy films, I just can't watch it. I think it's bad.
Oh yeah, all right. Because I was going to counter that. I wish I'd watched The Beastmaster when I was younger,
See?
so it didn't look so fucking stupid when I got older.
Exactly, that is the thing. For me it was Beastmaster. For you it was Crawl. You know, it's
Crawl
weird.
is so much better than Beastmaster.
Fuck is it? Beastmaster is so much better than Crawl.
Painted a tiger in it. Come on.
I'll give what? Those ferrets will rip your nuts off, Ian.
Oh, God. The acting is just so bad. What was the other part of his question?
What films would you have liked to have seen in the cinema? For me, it was the Alien films until I got to see them in cinema, and Terminator 2's out in cinemas again soon in August.
Yeah.
In 3D. So, yeah, I'm going to check out that one in the cinema.
Yeah, I talking about it, I wouldn't mind seeing the original Ring on the big screen. Can you imagine seeing her climb out of the TV in a fucking huge form of her? You'd be like, there's a stain here. I need to get the manager.
I guess for the first part, it'd probably be Star Wars.
I've seen all the Star Wars, the remastered, digitally altered, George Lucas manipulated Star Wars when they re-released them all in 3D or...
I mean, like, for a film I wish I saw as a kid.
As a kid.
See, I saw it, must have been when I was about 7 or 8, and to me it just looked outdated. I didn't like the effects. I found the pacing really boring.
No tentacles raping girls.
No, I hadn't watched that film yet. And but if I watched it if I was born when it was released and I watched it in its heyday, then I would have got the amazement and seen something brand new, but I never got the hype. And I just never enjoyed those films.
Or it's something like Predator. Watching Predator on the big screen for the very first time. You know, not knowing what the creature looks like.
Yeah, and waiting for that reveal.
Waiting for that big reveal and the big fight sequence. Fucking Blaine with his minigun on the big screen would be... Oh, yeah.
Okay, moving on. Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Accepting all the sequels, good or bad, mostly bad, lol, and zombie remake reboots in the Halloween series, in this current day and age, what kind of Halloween movie do you desire to see most, if any? Basically, what is your perfect vision for a new movie at this point? Thank you.
I don't think there is. John Carpenter,
isn't there a new Halloween coming out?
There is a new one planned for 2018, and yes, he's returning home again.
He's left the oven on.
But yeah, he's left the oven on this
time. Knock down the house.
It's just, for me, they finished it after Halloween 2.
Yeah, right.
He died at the end of Halloween 2. There's no going back off that. You watch Halloween 2 and watch that large figure come out and burn, and even if they come back and go, oh, actually, he found a guy who matched his exact size and changed him into the outfit, like at the end of fucking Halloween H2O. You know, I'd be like, no, you can't. You know, rebooting it. If you reboot it again, try and just capture the essence that John Carpenter had in the first movie. You know, just this shape. Mm-hmm. This shape in the background. We don't need over the top violence like Rob Zombie. We've been there, you know, and then he fucked it up in Halloween 2. We just need the shape going around being menacing. Yeah, okay, he's gonna catch the teens in precarious situations. Oh, I'm going out to have sex and do drugs at the exact same times. I really hope I don't die. Yeah, you're fucking dead, mate. You're dead. That's what you want to see, and you want to see Michael, you know, lift him up and take him out, and you don't need over the top blood and guts for it.
Yeah,
impact.
For me, there is no more appeal in the Halloween franchise beyond the first 2 movies, because Michael Myers is not, in my opinion, as exciting a villain to watch as, say, Jason or Freddy or Pinhead or any of the others, because he is a soulless killing machine who's, you know, really all he's after is to kill his sister. Yeah. And, you know, there's not much more motivation beyond that. Yeah. And so adding in the cultists and all this other stuff is just...
padding.
It's just padding. It's not necessary. It's just, so I would rather just drop all of it and just have, you know, all you can do is keep remaking that formula, which is the archetype of the slasher genre, which has been so done to death. Is there a perfect Halloween movie? Yeah, John Carpenter's Halloween. You know,
I mean, you could just make the film and just not call it Halloween. Just not make.
Well, there are already many of those.
Yeah, so. But I mean, like, I really enjoyed It Follows. That came out a few years ago.
Film, right. Yeah.
I mean, the style of the film, it really. I mean, I think it's set in the 80s, or it's not really stated when it's, but it feels like that same kind of time.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of teens, and it's something following them, and it doesn't need to have this iconic slasher villain in it. doesn't need that.
Yeah,
No.
Just you can keep it fresh in new ways.
When you remake these films, it's like I already said, you already kind of know what the ending's going to be. You know, you need something new, like It Follows. You know, It Follows came out, and I was like, oh, what's this?
It's something new. It's
yeah,
something
when I
different,
wikid it, I was like, you know, that really works. Somebody says, oh, the new Halloween's out. I'm like,
here we go again.
Bet you he gets blown out of a window and then kind of disappears. Skip to the end. Oh, look, there it is. Yeah.
Although I kind of like the Paul Rudd one.
Oh, moving on.
What the fuck? Dude?
Alexander.
Hey, Alexander.
Question 1, part 1.
Okay.
Is it more rewarding to review a movie you already know or to review a movie that you haven't seen before? I love talking about films that I love, and I always find it refreshing to watch a recommendation come in that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And to also review it because it's a discovery. It's something new.
Yeah, I'm the
so
same.
it's both. It's definitely both.
I find doing films that we've already seen and already enjoy too easy to review.
Yeah.
Because, well, take Terminator 2 for example.
That was easy to do.
That was so easy to do.
But I
wanted to pick at it. There was a part of me like, come on, you want to pick at it.
See,
you want
to
hate on it. But I'm like, I can't hate on it. It's too fucking good.
See, then I get films like City of God, which, you know, I'd seen it before, but then it's just like, those are the ones that I'm just like, oh, I've got to be... Yeah, there's a lot to take in and talk about and to get right and make sure that you really don't miss anything on some films. And I feel that those are rewarding because you got to put a little bit more effort into it.
I like coming across a new film that I've not seen because I don't know how I'm going to be at the end of it.
Yeah, because you don't know whether you're going to recommend it or not.
Yeah, and I like that because then when I come across on the video, that's real fucking emotion. You know, when we got asked to do Mysterious Skin, I wikied it. I wasn't too sure about if I was going to enjoy it. Then I sat through it. And then when we put the camera on, that was all just raw emotion. Yeah. You know? And I know it's the same when people are like, oh, come on, you know, you gotta do The Thing. The Thing's a little bit too easy for me at the moment. You just wait. You wait.
We're definitely going to do it.
We're going to do it.
But not just yet.
Yeah, not just yet.
Okay, so...
part 2.
Question 1, part 2. Is it more rewarding to praise a good movie or bash a bad one? Again, it's both. You know, I don't go out of my way to start bashing a film, although sometimes I quite look forward to bashing a film or a series of films.
Yeah,
because you know it's coming and you've kind of pent it up and waiting to release the frustrations with it.
Yeah.
Alien Covenant, I know we're going to review that film again.
Yeah.
Because our first video was an initial reaction. So, and that is rewarding because I will finally feel cleansed.
I do love hating on a film. Especially I love hating on a film that everyone goes, oh, but it's really good. And I'm like, fucking bullshit. And I pull out a sequence and go, hey, what about this? And people go, well, I just ignore that bit. And I'm like, no, you can't fucking ignore it. You know, like I cannot stand Halloween 4.
Yeah.
And people praise that movie. And I'm like, bullshit, he fucking died at the end of number 2.
Yeah.
He was just in a coma for that long? Fuck off.
Okay, question 2. The 70s and early 80s had to offer a lot of really intellectually challenging and story-driven sci-fi movies, but since then the sci-fi genre has become more and more a vehicle for big special effects.
Yeah. Which
do you prefer? And I've got to say, it's for me, it's a simple answer of I don't prefer either. I like both. Depends what mood I'm in the mood for, because sometimes I just want to watch Independence Day. You know? I just don't want to think. I just want to watch recognizable faces and I want to see recognizable locations explode with the biggest and best special effects money can buy to really paint that picture for me. And then sometimes I'd like to go back and watch, so, you know, some older movies. I don't know, like
Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden Planet, exactly. Forbidden Planet is a fantastic film, but doesn't always have the special effects to pull it off. But you know, you can use your imagination to also add to it.
Yeah.
So I like both. I really do.
Yeah, I don't think there's a year that I can just pick out and say, oh, I love all the films from this year because it was just so groundbreaking. Everything paves a way.
Yeah.
You know, from what 1926 Metropolis.
Yeah.
Which is the
I really
amazing
liked
movie to
Source
watch.
Code.
Source Code
was a really good one.
But it all paves the way as you go. Like I said, the thing from
Edge of
Another
Tomorrow,
World,
is a recent.
Edge of Tomorrow is amazing. The Thing from Another World is a brilliant black and white sci-fi movie, and without that film, we wouldn't have John Carpenter's reiteration of it, which is just as fucking amazing. And then further than that, I love the prequel as well. So, that's just me.
Jack Hawkins.
Hey, Jack!
Says, hey, boys. I have 2 questions for you. And we're getting towards the end of the podcast here, so we're going to rapid fire some of these questions.
Yeah.
McDonald's or KFC, Ian?
Both.
KFC.
KFC. Actually, no. Poppins Chicken.
Poppins Chicken, fucking awesome.
What is the first game? What is the one game you wish you would get a sequel, but deep down you know in your hearts it will never happen?
Duke Nukem Forever. Fucking
quick fire, my ass!
Mass Effect Andromeda, the fucking sequel Gary's after.
I'm gonna go for, I don't know, I'm gonna think of a score. Dino Crisis 3, because the Dino Crisis 3 we got was not a continuation of Dino Crisis.
Suikoden, because Konami fucking suck.
We're never gonna get another good Silent Hill one either.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work and continue to brighten up our weeks.
Thanks,
Jack. Chad.
Hey, Chad.
2-part question. Have you seen The Wolfman 2010 remake?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it in cinema.
Yeah.
And do you feel that it was a film that started the idea of the new cinematic universe of monsters? I don't know. I think Universal were just testing the water, maybe.
Yeah.
I thought that film was terrible. I really didn't enjoy it. I knew I didn't enjoy it when the transformation to the werewolf was shit. You saw his hands transform, and then he was transformed. And I was like, whatever. Now, if you can't do an honest-to-God, really good werewolf transformation with massive budget, I'm not interested. They didn't pull it off. It didn't work.
Yeah, I was quite excited about seeing The Wolfman and then didn't see it until like 3 years after it'd been released on fucking DVD, and I managed to catch it on TV. And then I sat there all the way through it and I was just like, that was quite pants. To be honest, I just wanted to go back and watch the original black and white version, because the whole storyline in the remake with Benicio del Toro, and I think it's Anthony Hopkins playing his dad, and then there's this whole fucking twist about his dad being the werewolf, to be the one that bit Benicio del Toro and he becomes a werewolf. I was like, oh god, this is so fucking boring.
Yeah.
Why can't he just be accidentally turning into the wolf, but having to fight against his own humanity and stop ripping people apart? And oh god, I'm just going to turn it off and watch American Werewolf in London.
For sure.
Never seen it.
Next question is from Rod Petrie.
Hey, Petrie.
Which decade of film has the most films released that decade which you enjoy, and what is it about that particular decade that you feel makes it a great one for films? I'm just going to say, for me, it's probably the 80s.
Yeah.
I could probably pick out more films from the 80s that have inspired me and made me love film the way I do today.
Yeah. It's the same for me with the 80s. Nostalgically, I just have some great memories from my childhood, just sat there in front of the TV watching those movies. And then the fact that they opened up doors to go back to. I remember seeing Mad Max 2 during the 80s. Just after it was released, and opening the door to go back and watch Mad Max.
Yeah.
And further on after that, even with like Aliens, and then jumping into Alien 3. I know people hate Alien 3, but it was a fucking dark period in the 90s, and you had to enjoy it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the 80s is the best time for Jackie Chan, because I'm a huge Jackie Chan fan. But I mean, you look at like the 2010s, I mean, it's Ghostbusters, it's Alien, it's Terminator, and it's all these films from the 80s that
exactly, they're still being turned out.
It just shows that the 80s were perfect.
Yeah.
Next question is from Jason Ramos.
Hey, Jason.
Hey guys, my question is there any remake or reboot of a series that is as good or better than the original? I said it in the beginning of the podcast, The War for the Planet of the Apes. I would say those 3 films as a whole are better than some of the sequels from its original source material. Yeah. So, barring the very original Planet of the Apes, the next best 3 films are the new ones.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't think of any other reboot. The only other reboot or series I would say is, if probably better, I would say the Battlestar Galactica reboot is better than the original.
Yeah. For some reason, I've got Mad Max Fury Road stuck in my head. I don't know if that would be a reboot or just a continuation of the story.
It's a bit of both.
It's still an amazing film.
It's amazing.
It makes me just want to go back and watch Mad Max 2.
Batman.
Yes, I only recently watched The Dark Knight again, and that was absolutely fucking stunning. There are still bits in it that I'm like whacking my head thinking, why did you do that? But then it leads into an utter amazing action sequence. Dark Knight Rises I'm not going into right now.
Because it's too good.
Next question is from George Lee.
Hey, George.
Just 2 questions, please. 1, what is the best film in the Romero series of zombie films? I'm going to say it's probably Dawn, though my favourite is Day.
I would say Dawn. Day has got really, really good special effects on the zombies.
Yeah.
But Dawn is just... Dawn's a movie that I can just put on, sit back, and if I fall asleep halfway through it, I don't care because I still remember everything after the point that I fell asleep.
Yeah, it has to be Dawn. I love that film. I know the film from start to finish.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the one that I used to watch the most, although recently, as I said, I've come to really like Day more and more, because at first I thought it was so inferior. It was like Alien 3 for me at first glance. So I was just like, that was terrible. After Dawn, that was the result.
Yeah.
But then over time, I've come to really love that film.
Yeah.
Part 2, what is the best and worst video game adaptation? Thanks.
Best video game adaptation. I was only thinking this a couple of days ago, and I was just, fuck off, Dave. Fuck off with your fucking. That's
all right. Dead Rising.
Fucking word. Dead Rising. Dead Rising is shit. Tekken is shit. Street Fighter is shit. Mortal Kombat Annihilation is shit. Doom, I did remember saying was the best and worst at the time, but yeah, it's starting to tentatively become the worst. I can't remember for the life of me what that fucking game film is. I'm going to remember after we turn the fucking microphone off. There's not many. There's not many.
I've said it before. Silent Hill Revelations, the second movie.
I still have to see that, so I can.
Is absolutely
so I can tell you it's wrong.
abysmal.
Yeah, but you said that. You said Dive Rise and Watch that was good.
DOA is the best.
What?
Next question is from Nick Paul Watson.
Hey, Nick Paul Watson.
Are you looking forward to Shane Black's The Predator? And what are your expectations? And my answer to that is fuck yes, because Shane Black and because, The Predator. Jake Busey's now involved.
I
have high expectations. Yeah.
Yeah. I am reluctant. I'm holding back because I've been burnt far too many times.
I know.
Yeah, same here.
Rodriguez was doing Predators. I was all excited. That was not very good. Ridley Scott was coming back to do Alien. Those weren't very good. So, I don't reckon it's going to be that great. Honestly, I'm going to go record and say it now.
You think it'll just be average?
I think it'll just be average. I reckon even if you sit down and watch it, you'll sit there after it and say, you know what? I just want to go back and watch Predator because it's better.
I have a feeling that Predator's going to do really well and launch a new series of Predator films, whereas the Alien series is just going to fucking crash and burn into a horrible brick wall of black goo.
Yeah. It's a close one.
It's a close one. I hope it doesn't get fucked over. I really hope.
When it comes out at 12A,
I'm gonna cry.
We're gonna cry. Big time.
Shane Black has done nothing but good things.
Yes, I like his script work. More in
sort of the action comedy. I don't know if the violent, ultra violent action film, if it's been too long.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there are now more bad Predator films than good ones.
Yeah.
With AVP.
Yeah.
If they could give it the 80s feel, if they could set it in the 80s so you feel like you're back in the 80s and you're watching the Predator movie for the first time again.
The reason why I like Shane Black is because he makes characters that you can relate to. Yeah,
but
he makes them believable so that you will care when they die or when they're being hunted.
Yeah.
And whether he can do that with a bunch of characters that are as ruthless to be prey, we're going to have to find out. We still got a whole year to wait.
We still got a long way to go. They might cancel it after a while.
Last question is from Ash Whittingham.
Hey, Ash.
What's the best movie cast ever? For me, I'm going to say Aliens, Near Dark, and Ghostbusters. I think
the remake?
Oh yeah, definitely, fucking
He
definitely.
loves Melissa McCarthy. This one.
Yeah, I do like Melissa McCarthy, but no, she's definitely not the best. She's a guilty pleasure.
Oh, fuck me. I don't know. There's just some good ones. Jaws. Richard Dreyfuss. Fucking...
Don't get the name wrong, Ian.
Roy Scheider. I'm trying to remember what the other guy... Robert Shaw.
That's it.
Robert Shaw. That, they work really, really well in Jaws.
Yeah.
At the same time, maybe it's Spielberg. I love all the actors in Saving Private Ryan. I kind of really get behind them. Musa, the Warrior from Korea 2004. That's a brilliant fucking lineup as well. So many. So many. I could go on for hours.
Gone in 60 seconds. Now, I know. I'm not
fucking Nicolas Cage. Anything with Nicolas Cage you love.
Boom. I don't know. Ocean's 11, although...
A good lineup, yeah.
There's a good solid
I'd say
cast.
they're good actors.
Godfather 2.
Yes. Yeah, that's good lineup as well.
For me, Dragons Forever. With Jackie, Samuel and Yun.
Yeah. Not Wheels on Meals then.
No, because they were all in weird 80s European get-ups. It was strange.
Is bad. It's fucking bad.
Well, that's going to bring us to the end of podcast 8. I want to say thank you, Dave. Thank you, Ian. And thanks to all of you listening. Right. We'll be back next month with podcast number 9. But as always, film reviews on Thursdays. Game videos on Fridays. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time.
Peace out.